And we are live. How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and you're watching and/or listening to ABL Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. You could be almost anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me live on the show, and I appreciate y'all for that. We got a whole lot going on all over these internets, all over the mainstream media, social media, everywhere, and I do not know where to start. First of all, Don Lemon, he's in trouble. Not because he said something about a conservative Republican, not because he did the usual political partisan thing. No, not because of that. Because he said something that offended the feminist crowd, that offended women, that offended those who are offended for women. Did he even really mean it? We'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later. Also, John Fetterman is back in the hospital, not because there's a fear that he has another a stroke situation going on, but because of depression. That's right, he's in Walter Reed Hospital, self-admitted for depression. He's already missed a bunch of votes on the Senate floor, and he just got elected. Is he gonna make it past this month, let alone this year? We'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later. Also, Clarence Thomas, they've paved the way for a statue to be placed of Clarence Thomas at the Georgia State Capitol, right there in downtown Atlanta. But Georgia State Democrat does not want it to happen, and he had a few choice words for the historic Supreme Court judge. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. Also, vaccine injuries, we know what's happening. The OnlyFans mom, crazy stuff. We'll talk about all those things and more on tonight's episode of ABL Live. And thank y'all again for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these internets. If you enjoy what you are hearing thus far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. If you listen to me right now on your favorite audio streaming platform, please give me a 5-star rating or review, whatever you can. I'd appreciate it. And if you don't know, this is a podcast you're listening to right now, whether you're listening to the replay on YouTube, to the live stream on YouTube, or if you're on your favorite audio streaming platform, whether that be Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, Apple, iTunes, etc. Link for that will be in the description box, or just go to your favorite audio streaming platform and search ABL Live. Odds should pop right on up. Also, shout out to the sponsors, of course. Shout out to my website. Y'all know what it is. If you're new here, welcome. Please visit my regular website, anthonyblogan.com. That is ANTHONY, the letter B, LOGAN.com. Right on the front page, you're able to find articles for each video that I produce. So if you're ever wondering, hey, ABL, where'd you get a little fat to it from? Where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? It's easy to find right there on the website, anthonyblogan.com. Right there on the front page. Every article has sources from left, right, independent, center, local, national, international, whatever you want, right there on the front page. Check it on out. Also, go to the contact page on the website. That's anthonyblogan.com/contact. You can find my email address, my snail mail address, my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that's right there. I have a TikTok page as well because I had to do it. I don't really post on there too much, but I do have content on there so nobody can impersonate me, or I try to reduce that. And I'm going to put the TikTok on there soon if I really want to publicize that. But all those platforms will be right there on the contact page. And if you're going to send me a thing through regular mail, I prefer you not send an email printed to me in the mail. Just send me an email, and I do read you guys' emails. I might not respond because I get so many emails. I might not respond, but I do get them. If you spam me with multiple emails in the day, I definitely don't see it. But if you send me something, typically I'm going to glance at it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to see what's going on. But if you spam me, I'm getting too much in one email, I can't see what's going on. But if you're not spamming me, you're sending me legitimate emails, I'm able to read them. So again, contact page, anthonyblogan.com/contact. You can find my email address, snail mail address, my P.O. box, all my social media platforms right there on the website. Also, PSA, because I got to say it. I'm saying this, what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to say it every stream, and I'm going to put a comment on each video. Now, a lot of you guys, you may watch me a lot. You're like, okay, we get it. But every day I get emails about the same thing. People still saying, hey, man, is this you in the comment section? It's not me, I promise. I'm gonna try to see if I can find a live example of this so you guys can really understand what's going on. So basically, here's what happens. I'll post a video, and a short time after I post the video, there'll be people making comments. Of course, you guys making comments, which is what you're supposed to do on a video. But what'll also happen is there will be impersonators, well, people impersonating me, whether they be bots or regular humans. They impersonate me, and then they comment in the comment section saying, hey, contact me here, contact me there, et cetera, so on and so forth. I'm telling you right now, that's not me. I would never respond to one of your comments under my video asking you. And if you have any kind of suspicion on whether that's me or not, the best way to go about it is to go to the website, anthonyblogan.com, and then just search to see if that information they gave you matches what's on my website. And if it doesn't match, it's not me. And what ends up happening is people will contact these people that contact them thinking it's me. And then it'll be a scam going on. They'll say, hey, send me some money, all this and that and the third. And of course, when I'm trying to find it, I can't find it. I think YouTube's doing a better job at trying to filter out those comments. But they'll say, hey, man, send me some money. We can invest, all this, that, and the third. I'm telling you, it's not me. I would never ask you to invest. I don't even know what Forex really is. I know what it means, foreign exchange, but how do you make money like that? I have no idea. Bitcoin, I don't recommend at all. Like, I'm telling you this right now so you know. If somebody says, hey, contact me to get Bitcoin advice, to get Forex advice, I know nothing. You might as well just ask a random bum on the street, hey, what's your thought process on the increase in interest rates in the country, and where should I place my money for the next 30 years? You might as well ask that guy because he has the same knowledge I have on that. Okay. So please, oh, please, oh, please don't do it. This is a PSA. And like I say, I think I'm going to put a pinned comment under each video just so everybody knows. So if you're seeing me for the very first time, you've not been here for a while or whatever the case may be, like maybe you watched me, but you hadn't been here for a while. You're like, hey man, where'd you get that great beard from? Because you hadn't been here for a while. I'll put it right there for you guys. But again, please be aware, don't get scammed in this year, 2023. Also, sponsors, of course, go to ablmerch.com. That is ablmerch.com. Links will be in the box. We got hats, t-shirts, stickers, hoodies, mugs, more. And we got new merch coming soon. I got some boxes in the garage. Get ready to ship out some new stuff. That'll be on the website very soon. Also, what else I got? Oh, patriotpost.us, your best source of news and information. That'll be in the description. So that's what I got going on today. My eyes are over here because I'm trying to find the actual a comment example of what I was speaking about just now as far as the spam comments, but of course I can't find it. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they've kind of tightened that up. I don't know what's going on, but I will go ahead and digress. Thank y'all for joining me yet again. We got a whole lot happening. David Hayes says, ABL, your sub notification bell still doesn't work. Hey man, if I could, thank you for letting me know that. Maybe I can call YouTube and be like, yo, YouTube, come on, man, let's get it together. But unfortunately, sometimes, these things just don't work the way they should work. It's just a weird thing that goes on with YouTube and Big Tech or whatever the case may be. All righty. So we got quite a few things on deck for tonight. Where are we going to start? Let's start with Fetterman, because the Fetterman thing is a little bit sad, and I'm going to get out the way early. It's sad depending upon how you want to look at it. Really, you know what? I'm going to just be all the way real. Can I be real with you guys? I feel comfortable here. This feels like family. This feels like home. I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable. I'll be a little bit comfortable with you guys. I'm going to be a little bit honest. This is an I told you so moment. Oh, yes, it is. I don't want to gloat about Fetterman being in the hospital, but who didn't see this coming? We all saw this coming. All of us. During the camp, first of all, let's go back to 2022, right? That's when he had the stroke, if I'm not mistaken. Well, actually, before that, he was already sick. He already had a heart problem before the stroke. He had a heart problem as far back as 2017. He had a pacemaker, if I'm not mistaken, before 2022. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I know there was an issue before 2022. Now, let's go to 2022. May 2022, he has a stroke. He's on the campaign trail and has a stroke. And it was really cruel, because what happened was this. The dates might be a day or two off, but the point is still going to be the same. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So on May 12th, he has a stroke. He could have died. Luckily, he didn't. He wins the primary just like not even a week later because he's already on the campaign trail. He was already the guy. People knew he was before from being the mayor out there. What was that? In Braddock, Pennsylvania, right by Pittsburgh. People already knew him. So it was kind of a shoe-in for the Democratic Party to put him in there as the Democratic nominee to be the senator in Pennsylvania. He wins the primary on May, I want to say 18th and 19th, just after he had the stroke, like not even a week later. So I think there might have been the conversation about when he's going back out there in the campaign trail because you won the nomination, but now you got to compete. Now you got to run against the Republican. So they're like, look, man, all right, you had the stroke. 3 months from now, you're going back out there in the campaign trail, come hell or high water. And that's exactly what happened. August the 12th or the 13th, literally 3 months to the day of his stroke, he was back out there in the campaign trail. That's cruel. Obviously, he didn't want to do it because if he felt like doing it, he wouldn't have gone back out there right on that day. He would have been out there earlier. 3 months, sir, you're going to be back out there in the campaign trail. That's what happened. He goes on the campaign trail. He's talking nonsense. You hear him talk, it's gibberish. They came out and said that he hears voices like the teacher from Peanuts. Like a lot of you guys are kind of young. You don't know what that sound is. Let me just play it right here. So remember when Fetterman was on the campaign trail when he was doing the debate and they had to have closed captioning in the real time above the host heads. So here's a host asking the question. John Fetterman, how do you feel about global warming, climate change? Is it a problem for Pennsylvanians? He has no idea what's going on. All he hears is wah, 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 wah. He has no idea what's going on. He has to read the captions to understand what's being said in front of him. How are you going to be able to work like that? If you can't hear what somebody's saying to you, then how can you work like that? How can you be in the chamber and communicate with anybody, with your colleagues and whatnot? Do you know ASL? Do they know ASL, American Sign Language? Can you communicate that way? And if you had a stroke and you can't even understand speech, how are you going to be able to sign and interpret that appropriate? Like, you're not going to have closed captioning in front of everybody's face. So how are you really going to work? But anyway, I want you guys to hear this right quick. Yeah, there we go. They already know what I want. So let's see if we get some sound. And so Charlotte Brown, old school cartoon. A lot of you guys are pretty young. Probably never seen it before. But there'd be scenes where the teacher will be talking and if the voice was unintelligible, you couldn't hear what was being said. It's just like, wah, wah, wah. Okay, let's go ahead and play it. So that noise right there is what Fetterman hears when you're talking in real life. Like this is a cartoon, obviously. He hears that when you speak to him in real life. How are you going to work like that? And shouldn't at a certain point you just say, you know what, I need to go ahead and drop out right now? Nah, you can't do that because look, we didn't put too much money into you, sir. We didn't put too much money into you. And matter of fact, we got dirt on you. So if you want to drop out right now, well, we're going to drop this bomb on your family, not literally, but figuratively. We got dirt on you. We already put millions into you. So what's up? What are we going to do? So he hears that when you talk to him. So But anyway, he goes back out there in the campaign trail, August, 3 months after his stroke, and he's struggling the whole time. He can't hear you. He's having problems speaking himself. He's speaking nonsense, gibberish, it's a complete mess. Then he wins, but he's hospitalized shortly afterward because they say he might have had another stroke, or it might have been a TIA, like a mini stroke or something like that. Stroke-like symptoms, whatever that means, right? Then he goes back to the hospital. He goes to Walter Reed because now he has depression. I'm not making this up. So there's 2 hospitalizations after, like most recently. The first was because of stroke-like symptoms, I suppose, a mini stroke, TIA, whatever. Then it's because he's depressed. And he had been depressed all throughout the campaign. Well, I wonder why. A stroke victim, almost died, brain injury, can't hear anybody talk to you, knowing you're going to be dealing with this for the rest. And he had already had issues like that before. He was trouble before he even ran. This guy, Fetterman, I don't know. Is he going to make it? I don't think he's going to make it. I think this, if he gets through this year, I'd be surprised. He's going to step down. And then the question is, how does that work? If he steps down or, God forbid, he dies, what happens? Does someone else get appointed in this place by the governor? How does that really work? Is it going to be a special election like it was in Georgia? Like, how does that really... Either way it goes, the guy shouldn't be there. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the article about him in the depression. Yeah, I think that he did win his election. I think people... You'd be surprised how ignorant the general population is. Okay. So now look at this right here from Washington Post. I'll pull up. See, I'm actually subscribed to these left-wing papers because I gotta see what they're saying behind the paywall so they can't hide it. I gotta be able to see what's going on. So some are saying that the governor replaces him, his wife takes over, it'll be a new race. Oh yeah, Dianne Feinstein. We'll get to Dianne Feinstein in a minute. Oh yeah, we're getting a Dianne Feinstein and some of these centurion almost. Is that the proper word? Centurion. These people that are almost 100 years old or over. They've broken the 100-year mark. I never want to see a politician get to be 100 years old, but we're getting close. I mean, your man, how old is Chuck Grassley? Chuck Grassley got to be about what? 89. He'll be 90 in September. Who else? Dianne Feinstein, I think she is 90 or more. 89, should be 90 this year. It's getting to be ridiculous, man. It's like, come on. Like, I'm no ageist, like they want to say Don Lemon is. I'll get to him in a minute. But come on, man. 90 years old in the Senate. That's kind of ridiculous. Like, can we get an age limit? But anyway, let's go back to Fetterman. So this is Washington Post, right? And they're saying depression risk rises after a stroke. What that means for John Fetterman. So why didn't they say that when he had the stroke? Why are they saying it now? Oh, because he's in the hospital for depression. They want to say that now, but they didn't want to say it back then. Now, if this had been a conservative politician, they would have listed every single thing that can happen to you negatively after a stroke if you were on the campaign trail and trying to become the next senator. That's how they do. They don't say these things about their guy because they want to protect him. Well, not really protect him. They want to protect themselves. If they wanted to protect him, then he wouldn't be out there in the campaign trail at all. He'd be at the house hanging out with his family rather than trying to be campaigning, rather than trying to be a senator. And he can't even hear someone speaking to him in a clear and intelligible way. And here is New York Times. So this was Washington Post. Shout out to Jeff Bezos. Amazon owns that paper. Here's New York Times. And they're saying Fetterman's disclosure of depression signals new openness on mental health. So this is like a social activist, social justice type victory, I suppose, saying this is, we're being open about mental health. But maybe the narrative should be that this is alarming for a guy that's in office who has potentially your fate in his hands. Maybe that's alarming for him to have that kind of issue going on. Just maybe. Now, let's get to Don Lemon, okay? I thought about getting to him a little bit later in the show, but I want to get to him right now. And if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. But my last thought on Fetterman, he won't make it too much longer. The Senate term is 6 years. He's not going to make it that long. It's impossible. He's already having problems right now. Hospitalized twice. He's missing votes. And at a certain point, if you keep missing votes, how are you able to stay in office? He can't do anything. He doesn't want to do the things that you should do as a senator. He doesn't want to shake hands, kiss babies, go to meetings, go to events. He doesn't want to be the public figure that you need to be as a senator, all right? If you're in the Senate, you need to be out there, suit on all the time, shaking hands, in the community, talking to your constituents, do all that stuff, okay? And when it comes to D.C., you need to be a gracious host. You got to be on committees. You got to be in the D.C. mix. You got to be out there in your local community in that mix. You got to be there. Just like where I live right now, we have our house reps, like Chuck Fleischman. I always see Chuck Fleischman all the time. I see him everywhere. He's all over the place. And I used to see my man too, the former House rep, I think out here, not a senator, but I think he was a House rep. I forget his name. Y'all know what I'm talking about though, in Tennessee, East Tennessee. But I always see not Chuck Grassley. I always see what's my man's name? I'm starting to get like Fetterman a little bit. Okay, I apologize. I was wrong. But I always see people out here that are House reps, senators. I've seen Marsha Blackburn. I've seen Bill Haggerty many times out here. Met him, shook hands with him. You got to be doing that kind of stuff. Chuck Fleischman, Bill Haggerty, Marsha Blackburn, Bill Lee, the governor. I've met him many times. I've been to dinner with him many times. You got to do that when you're out here serving your community. But if you don't want to do that, then you just can't. You're not going to be able to do it. All right. You're just not going to be able to do it. What was my man's name? The former Tennessee House rep. I want to, because I saw him one time at the airport. I would see him everywhere. He had an issue with Trump, but I remember meeting him in real life. He was a real down to earth kind of guy. Let me see. I think his name was Bob. I want Bob Freeman, Bob Ramsey. No. Hold on. Let me see. Senator. Oh, Bob Corker. That's my man's name. Yeah, Bob Corker. Yep. Shout out to Bob Corker. He was a really just a cool guy. Nice guy. You meet him in real life. You know, people had an issue with him because he had an issue with Trump. But talking to him in person, he's just a really down-to-earth kind of guy. So, yeah, shout out to him. Yep. But I digress. The point is, Fetterman can't do any of that. He's not going to be in the community giving talks. Like when you are a House rep or a senator, you do random things. Like I would see Chuck Fleischman out here just randomly. I would see him in random town halls, giving speeches, giving talks, endorsing local candidates, talking about local, meaning like state candidates. Not just DC people, but people, mayors, endorsing mayors of cities, small towns. You got to do all that kind of stuff if you're going to be a politician. You can't just vote. It's not that simple. You got to do much more than that. All right? So that's just what it is. So, yeah, shout out to Bob Corker. Shout out to everybody. But Fetterman, he's not going to make it. And the thing is, he's still in the hospital. As far as I know, I was wondering when he got admitted the first time because of the stroke-like symptoms. I'm like, okay, is he still in the hospital? He was there for 2 days. And then the whole thing about the depression came out and he's still in the hospital. So it was like, okay, is he just going to do his term in the hospital? How does that work? If you can't vote and you can't go out there in the community, you can't be in DC, you can't be on television, giving interviews, you can't do anything, you can't travel anywhere around the world like politicians do, then how can you remain in office? Can he be impeached? Can he be removed from office? Can he be taken out of office forcibly? How does that work? But I digress. Let's get to some more stuff here. Don Lemon. Boy, oh boy. Don Lemon, you done messed up, huh? You done messed up. You can say whatever you want about a conservative male, or for that matter, a conservative female, but don't you dare touch certain topics. You talk about the LGBTs, and you mention the LGBT thing in a specific, maybe negative way, you got a problem. If you speak about women in a specific, possibly negative way, you got a problem. Now, I got to defend Don Lemon here, and it pains me to do it, but I'm a real person. Y'all know me. If you've been watching me for a while, you know I'm a real person. I'm going to just say how I feel. I don't really care about what anybody thinks. If I cared what anybody thought, I wouldn't be right here today. Because when I first became conservative publicly, it was a backlash against me already from the beginning. So I can't care what anybody says. That's how I started. That's how I'm going to always be. But Don Lemon did not even say that he agrees with what he mentioned. If I tell you that the top search results about women being in the prime say X, does that mean that I think that? He said right when he said it that he doesn't agree with it. But nonetheless, people say, oh, you said it. You're a misogynist. You're a pig. You're a bigot. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not saying I agree. But what I will say is that it was a poor point to make. And before I go any further, let's just give you a refresher. If you've not seen it yet, if you just need a reminder, let's just watch that quickly and then I'll continue. Because this whole thing, I think he's being unfairly criticized. You could criticize him for quite a few things, okay? He shouldn't really be on the air if you ask me, but not because of this. How about because of some other things? How about because of all the lies? How about because of all the lies that he said on air? And CNN as a whole network telling lies after lies after lies after lies. How about that? We could start right there with all the lies he's told. Just straight up blatant lies. Let's focus on that rather than him talking about what Google says about the prime age of women. But let's go ahead and play this clip right here from Hollywood Reporter. And I want to skip ahead a little bit straight to the meat and potatoes, and then we can continue. Let's get a little bit of, let's not punch your eardrums with the sound, and let's get some video with the audio.
You know, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime.
Hold on. Let's go back a little bit. Let's go back a teens.
Was Lemon's take.
She says people, you know, politicians or something are not in their prime. Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
So Poppy Harlow right there, the lady in the white shirt, she was really offended by that. You see the face? And he's immediately saying, I'm not saying that. This is not me saying it. I'm saying this is what Google says. And here was the point he was trying to make. So Nikki Haley was talking about there should be, I guess you would say, a cognitive function, a competency test for politicians above the age of 75. Now, this means all politicians, not just those who she be running against as far as being the president. Like maybe in his mind, he's thinking about the men, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, who will both be above 75 years old. It's not just them. She said all politicians. You have some ancient fossil women and men in office right now. We just mentioned them. Okay, you got Joe Biden. Trump's up there. Trump's still sharper mind, obviously. Biden is not sharper mind. But beyond Trump and Biden, you have Chuck Grassley, 89 years old. Dianne Feinstein, 89. Maxine Waters, I think she's like 87 or 86. Nancy Pelosi, 86. You have a bunch of politicians that are in their 80s and 90s right now who are still in power right now. And they're not going to step down. I think Dianne Feinstein is going to step down next year at the ripe young age of 91. So it wasn't even a thing about gender at all, but he made it that. However, the point that he's saying is not his point. The point is, if you Google what is the prime age of a woman, they're going to say basically like 18 to 25. That's the truth if you Google it. Now, does that mean he agrees with that? No, it doesn't. It just means that's just what it says. But even me saying this right now and saying, hey, if you research it, that's what comes up. Even me saying it right now, people are going to say, Well, you said women are only in their prime when they're teenagers, because people get offended and they can't hear logic. They get offended, get emotional, and then they just want to spaz out. This is why, in my opinion, women are going to have a hard time becoming the president, because a lot of other women think that women are not going to be logically capable of leading a nation. That's my opinion. Not that men are going to think that way. Some men are going to think that way. But women have the biggest issues with other women. Okay? We've heard that over, and that's the oldest thing I've ever. It's always some big blow up. Here's an example of men and women being different. And this ain't nothing but just the truth. Now, all human beings have fights, whether it be a physical disagreement, like a fist fight, or a verbal altercation. All human beings have fights, disagreements, or whatever. Two men can literally fight. I'm talking about, I can punch my friend in his face. He could punch me in the face. We'd be on the ground wrestling. Afterward, we could shake hands. Like, hey, man, you want to get a beer? You want to get something to eat? I don't drink beer, but you understand what I'm saying. We could be totally fine right afterward. Now, two women doing that? Oh, no. Two women can fight over the smallest thing and hate each other for life. Not all the time, but y'all know what I'm talking about. They are less likely to be able to get over that than men would be able to get over that. Sometimes you could fight a guy as another guy, and it could be permanent resentment, but more often than not, we can get beyond that very quickly, versus women, they can't get over that very quickly. This is why a lot of women do not want to have a woman be in leadership in a high position. A governor, senator, mayor, that's different than the president. This is why Hillary Clinton didn't win. Hillary Clinton, by all the metrics that they had for her, should have won. She had double the money. She had the name recognition. She had the clout. She had everything and got stomped by Trump. She had double the money, everything in her favor, and still lost. Kamala Harris polled at 0%. Is it a reason why? Yes, because a lot of women don't want to vote for her, but I digress. Back to Don Lemon. All he was saying is that if you Google a particular thing, that's what's going to come up. He's not saying that he agrees with it. Somebody says, do ABL, stop, leave this alone. What did I say that was wrong? If I'm wrong, y'all please let me know. And y'all call in a little bit later to the show. When the phone lines are open, I want to hear you guys' responses. If I'm saying something wrong, y'all let me know. And but didn't I already say, me saying this right now, I'm gonna be called a misogynist. And first of all, I love women. I love women for real, like for real. I'm not a misogynist at all. I'm just telling the truth. And you know what? Since I love y'all so much, I'll tell you the truth. If I hated you, I'd be a liar and tell you whatever you wanted to hear and lead you into destruction. But I'm going to tell you the truth to give you the best ability to make choices for yourself, to be best informed rather than be misinformed. Anyway, so that's what he was saying, and they got really offended.
According to me,
even though Lemon's comments didn't sit well with co-anchor Poppy Harlow, he didn't walk them back during the show.
if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s. I don't necessarily.
40s. Oh, I got another
I'm not saying
decade.
I agree with that. So I think she has to be careful about saying that.
Later on Thursday, Lemon took to Twitter to apologize. He wrote, "The reference I made to a woman's prime this morning was inartful and irrelevant, as colleagues and loved ones have pointed out, and I regret it. A woman's age doesn't define her either personally or professionally. I have countless women in my life who prove that every day." The anchor had the day off from CNN This Morning on Friday.
So yeah, he had to apologize and all this and that. But now, after the apology, like they said there was two apologies. There was one on Twitter where he wrote that, which you just saw. And then there was, he called his colleagues during the morning meeting. He called in to apologize to them, to Poppy Harlow and the other young lady that was on there as a co-host. But it might not be enough. He might mess around and get fired behind that. All because he was just making the point. Like the point was kind of a poor point because he didn't have to bring up gender because there was no gender mentioned. So you're kind of comparing apples to oranges, but what he said was not wrong. because if you Google that, if you search for that, that will come up. If I tell you, hey man, if you Google when was the country founded, you're going to see 1776. Now, are you going to say that I'm like, I don't even know. Just because somebody might be offended at what a search result yields does not mean I'm wrong for telling you that it's going to yield that result. It's just a fact. That's what it's going to. Now, whether you agree with the result or not is irrelevant. The point is that what he said is factually correct, but logic and feelings don't mix. They don't mix. People got offended. Making Kelly got offended. Oh, she's super offended. I was kind of surprised, really. I was a little bit shocked at the reaction, to be totally frank with you, because I didn't think it would be that serious. I didn't think it would be that deep. Let me see if I can find the actual response from Megyn Kelly. Oh, here it is, right here. Let me go ahead and put it on the screen right quick. I was surprised. I was like, I thought people would understand what he was trying to say, and they wouldn't really go off the edge like that, but I guess I was wrong. All right, let me just go ahead and play it.
This is blatant sexism, and shame on him for doing this on the air. And frankly, those other women on set with him were pathetic and weak in calling him out. He deserved a more robust response. He deserves it now from the colleagues at CNN. He deserves it from the colleagues in the news industry and the bosses at CNN.
But why be so passionate about that? I don't understand. Like, the point, it was a poor point because it didn't really match what Nikki Haley was talking about as far as a competency test for those who were over the age of 75, male or female. It didn't match. But it was more of a kind of a childish tit for tat thing. It wasn't a matter of he's being sexist, he's a misogynist, and he hates women. Now, is he a misogynist? Does he hate women? I don't know that. But that comment does not give me that kind of feeling. It just says that he was trying to make a counterpoint that didn't really land well. And that's it. It ain't really nothing else to it. As I've said, there are plenty of things you can get Don Lemon on. I've made countless videos against Don Lemon. There's a cornucopia, a plethora, myriad of things you can attack Don Lemon on, but that right there is kind of weak. And people got so offended at me, offended at him. It was a mess. It was a total incomplete mess. Left, right, everything. It was crazy. Okay. But hey, we're going to see what happens with Don Lemon after all of what he said, after all of what he's done over the years, just attacking conservatives left and right, relentlessly. After all of that, let's see if the feminism thing is what gets him. And you know what? Let's add this in there. I think CNN and a lot of these networks, quite frankly, are becoming like really soft. CNN is already a very leftist, liberal, biased station, and now it's becoming it's like Lifetime TV, but on Lifetime News, basically. And Roland Martin said this a while ago, and here I go again. Like I said in my video earlier, I got to defend Roland Martin, or at least quote him. He was saying that if you are a straight male, especially a straight black male for some reason, but definitely if you're a straight male, you have no real role on CNN. As an anchor, maybe, but probably not, and definitely not as a contributor. And for some proof, Don Lemon, obviously gay, married to a man, a white man at that. Then you have the guy Victor Blackwell, also a black male and gay. Then you have Brian Stelter. I'm not saying he's gay. I don't think he is. But if you were to tell me right now today, hey, ABL, do you know Brian Stelter is gay? I'd be like, really? I had no idea. Anyway, and then who else? You got Chris Cuomo, but Chris Cuomo's gone. And the reason why he was there is because he had access to his governor, the brother of New York, Andrew Cuomo. And when they canned Andrew, and put in a woman, by the way, when they canned Andrew, then there's no need for Chris. Threw him under the bus. It was all kind of dirt that got leaked, all kind of stuff. I mean, CNN is like that. That's just their culture over there. They want you to be soft, subservient, and it's all about girl power. That's what's going on right now all over television, girl power. You know, and I have no issue against female anchors, female news reporters. If you do a good job, it doesn't matter what gender you are, you do a good job. But we're leaning more towards that being the predominant thing you see versus any kind of strong masculine presence. They don't really want that because they don't want to overpower the people that are already right there. Corporate culture is weird. Apparently, Don Lemon made somebody cry on his set, and that got weird. And I can see how that can happen. You're working with women, especially liberal women or soft males. Anything you say that might be a little bit of bass in your voice, you might be a little bit stern, somebody gonna start crying. This is why I don't like debating with family members or normies about politics. If you're a normie and you start talking politics, I kind of just shut up. If I'm talking to somebody anywhere where I'm at and they're not really politically inclined like that, here comes a political question, I get quiet because I know they are not really prepared for that kind of conversation. I see it on Twitter all the time. People come in my comments and then I engage a little bit of a debate and then they start getting mad and start cussing. I'm like, okay, see, when you start cussing and all that, you're getting frustrated because you don't know what I know. And if that's happening in real life, it'd be the same thing. So I just kind of fall back. But if you're in the weird kind of soft corporate world and you're dealing with soft people, whether it be male or female, and you say a thing that might be a little bit stern, a little bit of bass in your voice, somebody going to start crying, they go into HR, now you got a problem. Oh, I felt threatened. I felt like I was unsafe. I was in an unsafe space. So all I did was just talk at you with a little bit of bass in my voice, a little bit of oomph. And that right there gets you scared and ready to start crying and going to HR. It's crazy. Silent Owl Scribe says, I think ABL likes Don Lemon. Hilarious. Why is it always, and it's weird. You know what's funny is that a lot of leftists will talk about LGBT rights being a thing that they need to protect. And you can't make fun of LGBT people because you're LGBT. But as soon as you disagree with them, what do they say first? Oh, you gay. It's like, wait a minute. What happened to all this, support LGBT? What if I was gay? What if I was? So then what? Like I was reading a comment on one of these blog sites, might have been Shade Room. And a rapper said something about somebody. It was Joe Budden, not Joe Biden, but Joe Budden said something about a female rapper, singer, or somebody. And then somebody in the comments said, you should just come out already. Come out the closet already. Aren't you gay? And it's like, well, you already did that. And then the guy got quiet because it's like, that's all you really got in your arsenal is saying that somebody's gay. But then if somebody attacks somebody for being gay that you like, then all of a sudden they are a homophobe and everything else. They hate gays. They're afraid of gays. It's so weird. People are weird and predictable and kind of boring sometimes. So that's why when you get normies who want to talk about politics and argue, I don't even do it because it just kind of gets weird. It gets weird. You know what I mean? And I'm very secure on masculinity. Any woman that knows me knows how I operate. So it's nothing. It's okay. You call me whatever you want to call me. Don't call me Colette from the penitentiary, though. I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer if you call Colette from the penitentiary talking about you have a Colette call from Georgia State Prison. I'm not going to accept the call. But anything beyond that, call me whatever you want. It's okay. Alrighty. But if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Shout out to you, Silent Owl Scribe. It's all good, boss. But if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share that video, do all that good stuff. That'll help me out tremendously. I'm a smooth operator. Yes, I am, Roy Boy. That's what they say, but I don't know. You got to ask the people that know. I don't know nothing. I know nothing. Yeah, don't call me Colette. Don't call me from the penitentiary. Don't call me, no unfavorable stuff like that. I'll be good. I'll be good to go. Yeah, exactly. Don Lemon's content was taken way out of context. It wasn't really that deep. But we're going to see if this whole thing continues. I was watching Fox. I watch Fox a lot to see what they're talking about on the Normie Tube. I consider all mainstream media outlets the Normie Tube. This is what Normie America thinks. And I've kind of been like disconnected for a long time. So I watch them to stay kind of grounded a little bit. Because if I didn't watch Fox or peek into the CNNs of the world, I'd be somewhere totally else with my mind. So I got to understand what they're talking about in Normieville. I got to understand why people are still talking about getting the vax and wearing the mask. And I go to a store, I go to a restaurant, and the guy at the front is wearing the mask, talking about some. You're talking, but I can't hear a word. When you have your mask on, all that I hear is the Charlie Brown teacher. Wah, wah, wah. That's all I hear with your mask on. I be like, huh? What's that? Say it one more time. Like, what's going on? That's how I be when you got your mask on. I can't hear a word. So, but I got to understand why they're doing that. It's because they're watching the Normie Tube. That's all they really know. They don't know anything else. So it's like, okay, I can be empathetic toward your situation. And part of the reason why I'm here is to break that Normie Tube down, to get beyond that whole, to get beyond that fog and that veil that they've placed over our eyes collectively. That's all that it is. Yeah, and I watch it for you guys so you don't have to. Absolutely. And to touch on this right quick, before I move on to the next topic, I see the comments, people are saying, what's the prime for a male or a female? If we're going to have that discussion, that's a different topic than what Don Lemon was talking about. Don Lemon, he was trying to make a point about something else. I don't know what his point was. He was trying to just counteract what Nikki Haley was talking about as far as people being elderly. He was saying he had a problem with ageism. He was trying to link ageism when you're talking about elderly people that shouldn't be in office to ageism when it comes to women and their prime years. He just got two ageism examples and compared them and said that these are wrong. But if you're talking about prime years, what does that really mean? Prime for what? Prime for attractiveness? Prime for money making? Prime for what? You know, if you're talking about a politician, the prime age, regardless of male or female, would be when they are able to make decisions in a sound-minded way. So you could be up there in age and do that. That's not, you don't have to be of a prime age. I think I would want somebody that's a little bit older to be a politician. This is why you got to be 35 years old to be the president. And quite frankly, that age should be a little bit older. Well, I'm not saying it should be, but it could be, and I'll explain why. You see, an 18-year-old right now is nowhere near the level an 18-year-old was back in 1776. The founding fathers were like in their early 20s or teenagers. These are young kids, basically. Well, they were adults, but in today's day and age, they'd be young kids. Like, how old were the founding fathers? Let's look it up right quick. How old were the founding fathers? These guys were not. These guys were not 85 years old politicians. Listen, on July 4th, 1776, let's read them off. Let's read them off right quick. Matter of fact, I'll put it on the screen. You guys might be a little bit surprised by this. Okay, let's check it out. Okay. July 4th, 1776, James Monroe was 18. Aaron Burr, 20. Alexander Hamilton, 21. James Madison, 25. Thomas Jefferson, 33. John Adams, 40. Paul Revere, 41. And then Washington was 44 years old. So these are your founding fathers. James Monroe was 18. Aaron Burr, 20. Alexander Hamilton, 21. Madison, 25. Jefferson, 33. These are young people. The founding fathers. When you hear the term founding father, you think about a guy that's like 55 years old. No, that's not the case. When you were 18 years old back then, you were an adult for real. A lot of times you had a family, a wife, kids, all of that at age 18. But now people are 18 years old in extended adolescence. The age of people has gotten younger with a longer life expectancy. Back then you might die and you'd be 35 years old. You could die of some kind of random disease. You know, you might not make it to be 60 years old back then because of medicine. But now you can live to be however long you want to live. Well, I feel like now people are dying because of other reasons. You know, people want to smoke crack and heroin and all kind of stuff like that. And, you know, getting involved in gang violence, all that kind of stuff. So that's reducing life expectancy. But if you live a healthy life, you don't have any kind of drugs, alcohol, all that kind of, you can live a long life nowadays. But people's minds are much younger than they were back then. Okay. That's just what that is. So back then they said you need to be 35 to be the president. But I would argue that a 35-year-old now is much younger mentally on average, not all the time, but on average than they were back then. You can be 35 years old now, like back then, and be a grandfather. You can be 35 years old right now with no kids, like me. You see what I'm saying? It's a different day and age. All right. So yeah, that's just pretty much what that is. Yeah, bad hygiene. If you had any kind of tooth problems, dysentery, like Oregon Trail, you could die from simple diseases. So, but now we're kind of going backwards because we have all these advancements in medicine, but people rely on those medicines now and forget what you need to do to just maintain yourself on the basic level, like not eating everything in the. How can you be 800 pounds? Do you think anybody was 800 pounds in 1776? They had this guy that was like the fattest man in the world in a circus. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can pull him up. So let's pull him up right quick. So this guy right here, it's been floating around. I'm not sure if it's true or not. Y'all let me know if it is. This guy right here was the world's fattest man in 1890, and he was in the circus. He was in the freak show in the circus. 1890, world's fattest man. Now that might not be your real image. I think it might be though. So this is like the biggest you can get. He might be about 300 something pounds, maybe closer to 4, but probably about 350, maybe depending upon how tall he is. Now it's not even that big. You would see that on the Amtrak right now. Okay, you would see that on the airplane. You see that on Spirit Airlines in the middle row. And he wouldn't even be that big. You see a whole family like that on the subway chilling. You know, times are different now. Times are much different. But yeah, it's normal. Yeah, it's normal. Times change, things change, people change. I'm not sure why I got way down that rabbit hole like that. Y'all got a part of me, but I think I was talking about the age and all that kind of stuff, and probably the prime age. Things are different nowadays. Prime age back then in 1870s, 1770s it was much different than it is right now. Prime age back then probably was like teenage years into your early 20s, but now you got a little bit longer. But at a certain point, if you're talking about trying to conceive children, I mean, you got to be, once you get to be 35, they call that geriatric pregnancy. That's a medical term. It's not a thing that I'm trying to say that against women. They call it geriatric pregnancy. 35 years old or older, you're more likely to have complications from pregnancy. And you definitely will have complications trying to have a baby in your 30s in the 1700s. Okay, people had kids when they were teenagers, early 20s back then. But again, things are different nowadays. And I digress. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all of that good stuff. Yeah, you know what? And the thing about it is, to talk about that right quick, people saying, you know, McDonald's is it's not even the fast food. It's just that there's so much food. There's too much food available, cheap and quick. You see, back then you had to actually cook your food. You didn't have all these modern appliances, a refrigerator, all that kind of to store food. You had to pretty much go, you had to farm. And because they said like 90% of America was agrarian. So you had to grow whatever you ate and you couldn't store it. So you had to pretty much kill it right there. Okay. And you couldn't necessarily eat all day long because you can't store the food really. Maybe you had an ice box or something, but for the most part, kill it right there, grow it, eat it. That was what you did. Hunting, maybe you might can some stuff. People still do canning now in West Virginia, Ohio, places like that. But yeah, you couldn't just go to Walmart on the first of the month with an EBT card and stack your buggy, your cart full of garbage. You couldn't do that back then. It was impossible. And it's still not like that everywhere in the world. So you go to certain parts of the world, people are much thinner. Why? Is it because there's a McDonald's? Not necessarily. They got that everywhere. The problem is they can't have access to that much food like we can. Simple. All right. Yeah, and the portions and you got crazy portions. Like the restaurants around here, the portions are crazy. I mean, it's too much. I'm a big person. I'm 6'3". I'm about 225 right now. I'm a big person. I'm not looking like 800-pound life, obviously, but I'm not a small person. But even for me, going to a restaurant is way too much food. The big portions, I'm gonna like leave a lot of that at the restaurant. I don't even want to bring it home with me. And I try to eat well at the restaurant. I try to eat, like grilled fish, that type of thing. Vegetables. I'm not going to be eating a bunch of just garbage like people do. Yeah, that's not really my thing. Try to eat more whole foods. That's kind of what I'm on. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody says, why did we need farms when we have grocery stores? That's hilarious. I did I put a short on my page where a guy was like, we need to abolish farms. It's like, all right, you guys are brilliant, but the kids think like that. Not all kids. Some kids have a brain in their head. Shout out to all the really smart people that call, the young people that call the show. But some of the young people, they think that you could just abolish farms and the food would just magically appear out of nowhere. People have no idea how this world operates, and it's really sad. But it's because everything's so convenient and they don't do any of it. All they got to do is just go when they want something to eat. And it's to the point now, everything's right here in your phone. You want some food, just hit up Instacart or whatever the kind of gadget they got now. I'm old. I'm officially the uncle. I'm old. I used to think my dad was crazy for going to pick up the pizza in his car, but now I get it. I'm that guy that will pick up the food that people would now order on their phone, Uber Eats. I don't do that. I would go to the store and pick it up. That's me. That's the kind of guy I am. But normally when I'm in the store, if I could pick some food up from the store, if I don't cook that day, which I cook a lot anyway, but if I don't cook and I go to the spot to pick up some food, it'd be a DoorDash guy or Uber Eats guy in there picking up food too. I've seen somebody get McDonald's delivered across the street from their house. It's like, man, come on. You can't get up from your couch and walk across the street to get the McDonald's. It's nuts. It's crazy. Yeah, but I cook a lot though. I try to keep myself pretty, and I cook pretty clean. Protein. Got my brown rice, my vegetables. That's kind of what fish, chicken. That's usually what I eat throughout the week. And when I do go get something to eat, like today, I got some Greek food. I had some pasta salad, some roasted potatoes, and some chicken, like some grilled chicken. No fried chicken or nothing like that. I've not had like old school fried chicken since I've been probably a teenager. Not even Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, I can't have Chick-fil-A anymore. I have a Chick-fil-A allergy, I discovered. So I was breaking out on my forehead a lot, like probably about 2 years ago, and I couldn't really figure out why. And what happened was I just did diet experiments. I just stopped eating certain things to figure out what was causing it. I knew it wasn't me just having bad skin. I don't have bad skin. I knew something was causing it. So then I stopped eating Chick-fil-A and magically the breakouts went away. So then I said, you know what? Let's do another test. I had Chick-fil-A again about 6 months after I stopped eating it. And then right back to breaking out. It was crazy. I was like, I can't eat Chick-fil-A no more. So no more Chick-fil-A, no more of that fried, that peanut oil fried batter they got. Nah, I can't do it. So when I go to a restaurant, I'm getting all grilled stuff, like tuna, salmon, that type of thing. I don't really do nothing else other than that. Yeah, it's the oil. You're right, Bina. It's the oil. The peanut oil, I have an allergy to it. I can eat peanuts, especially roasted peanuts. I can't really eat raw peanuts. I got a weird diet, but I know my body pretty well. A lot of guys and girls don't know how their body works. They don't know how to eat certain things, how to eat to live. They don't really understand that. So they just kind of put whatever they want in their body and they get to smelling crazy. But I'm going down a dark rabbit hole right now, so I digress. Do I fast? Yes, I do fast sometimes, yeah. what I'm going to do coming up here, matter of fact, that's a good question, Mr. Charles. In March, I'm going to do a 2-day-a-week fast. So I'll cook 4 or 5 days a week. I'll probably cook 4 days a week. One day I'll go get something from a restaurant. And then the other 2 days I'll fast. I'll probably fast on the Monday and the Thursday. Like no food. I probably would have some water or like coconut water or something like that to stay hydrated, but no actual food. Yeah, that'll be what I do. I've done that before and it gave me pretty positive results. Yeah. But even when I don't fast, I don't eat that much. So, for example, I usually eat 1 meal a day or 1.5 meals. In the morning, I have like a bowl of oatmeal, a small bowl of oatmeal and a Kind bar for my breakfast, just for a little bit of energy, a little bit of carbohydrates in the morning. And then my lunch be right around 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I'll cook usually chicken, broccoli, rice, salmon, like wild-caught Alaskan, rice, broccoli. I'm real simple, or spinach or kale or something like that, steamed. I don't put no vegetables in I don't fry anything. I grill it, steam it. That's it. Okay, that's pretty much how I operate every day. And then no dinner. That'll be what I eat. I might have a small snack, but usually not. All right. But if you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. And what else we got going on? Oh, so speaking about health and wellness, so a doctor came out and apologized on behalf of the medical community because a lot of doctors were ignoring patients who said they had vaccine injuries. Now, we all know that this is a real thing. People have had vaccine injuries. It's a real situation. It's not fake. It's not a hoax. And we had been saying that for a long time, that there were vaccine injuries going on, but people just didn't want to believe for whatever the reason may be. Oh, you guys are just making up, so how does that in the third? We knew we were telling the truth. We knew it was a real thing going on. There were vaccine injuries, but we weren't always believed. And now here we are. So let's check out what my man here said. This is Michael Huang out there in California. And he's very brave to speak out because you're in California speaking like that. I mean, you might mess around and lose your job or something else you might lose too. All right. Let me see. Let's go to the video right quick.
My next guest, a physician from Roseville, California, says that he's treated more than 4,000 COVID patients. And of those, he says hundreds experience vaccine-related injuries, including chest pain, cancer, and in women, menstrual irregularity, and even pregnancy loss. Dr. Michael Huang joins me now. Dr. Huang, thanks for being with us tonight. In your 20-plus years as a practicing physician, how many vaccine-related injuries did you come across before the COVID shot became available?
Before the pandemic, before the COVID vaccine vaccination program, I've seen maybe 1 or 2 adult vaccine-related injury, and they were mild. And I had to apologize on behalf of my profession. That physicians have really fallen on our face, and they have refused to listen to patients when they come in with vaccine injury symptoms and basically just assume that it doesn't exist.
Let's pause for a minute. I'm glad that the whole thing about vaccine injuries is becoming mainstream. It's like now we know that there were and are vaccine injuries. It's not some kind of taboo thing. It's not just like whatever. This is a real thing. There are vaccine injuries. So I'm glad it's coming out. I might say it's a little too late, but at least people are now being vindicated. Yeah, they're being vindicated.
So before the discovery of germ theory, there's a Hungarian physician, doctor, obstetrician that he had basically discovered if we were just to wash our hands, that would reduce birth-related mother death by about 100%. And no one would listen to him because people just didn't believe that there is actually germs that can cause childbirth-related death.
Yeah. So once again, we're ignoring.
like all these things are happening. You're talking about menstrual irregularities. You're talking about cancer already, detecting cancer. And of course, the main thing is the blood clots. We all know about that. The blood clots, they're finding blood clots. They're doing autopsies, finding blood clots, people's veins. It's causing cardiac arrest. It's causing all kind of stuff. You know, and then for years, really, because it's still going on, the mainstream media and some politicos and some doctors will say, oh, it's totally safe. Get vaxxed, get boosted. It's falling on deaf ears now because we know what's going on. We know that the whole thing is dangerous. And we knew it from the beginning. I knew it from the start. And to me, I didn't really understand people talking about, oh, why don't you get vaxxed? It's like, it just came out. Common sense told me that it just came out. Why would I get that? I don't want to get that. And it's going to be a mess because a lot of employers forced you to get the vax. And I'm not sure, like, I think some of that was government, but a lot of employers say you got to get the vax. You got to do this, that, and the third. So now, if your employer forced you to get the vax and now you're injured as a result, then now what? What do you do? I was watching the clip where there was a guy at a poker tournament, might have been on television, and he was just speaking in the background, not at the camera. Just the tournament was being recorded, being filmed, and he was just speaking in the background. You could hear him. He was like, hey, man, I regret getting that vaccine. You know, I got it, and then I've been the same since. My chest been hurting. I wish I never got it. I need to go get checked out. My blood clots. This is happening. This is a real thing.
We're ignoring the real-world experience of physicians on the front line treating patients. We're dismissing what they're seeing with their own eyes in favor of a medical cartel, yes. That's what we call them, that are just decreeing this is how it shall be. Doctor, this week the Florida Surgeon General put out an official health alert saying that since the COVID vaccine was released, there's been a 1,700% increase in the vaccine adverse event reporting system. So, Doctor, should the government be recommending COVID shots or boosters of any kind to any American today, given the risk-benefit analysis that we pretty much understand at this point?
Sure, Laura. If you get sick, you don't call CDC or FDA for recommendations. If my patient gets sick in California, they don't call Dr. Gavin Newsom for treatment recommendations. Government should let doctor practice medicine. So what the Florida's report has indicated as far as the high number of COVID vaccine injury, it's true. Various websites for years and years has tracked vaccine injuries. On average, about 180 deaths will be contributed from the vaccine yearly. That's about 10 to 12 vaccine-related deaths per month. The first month of COVID-19 vaccine program got started, there were over 180 deaths reported. We should have seen that clear signal that something needs to be stopped.
Should the shot be mandated, given what we know?
So that's pretty much that. He says no, it shouldn't be mandated because, like I said, you know, you go to your doctor, not Gavin Newsom. You go to your doctor to get treated. You know, if the vaccine is part of your treatment, then that's what. If you want that, then you should be able to get it. But obviously, people are being injured by it, and you should know that. You should know the risks. They shouldn't just say, "Oh, it's totally safe and it's not going to harm you," when we know that it can harm you. We know that. And then some are going to say, "Well, ABL, if you get the bug, that can harm you as well." Well, tell me what the purpose of getting the vax is if that can harm you, and what's the point of getting the vax if that can harm you and the bug can harm you? And then on top of that, the vax does not prevent transmission. So you could catch the bug and spread the bug. But we were told, hey, if you get the vax, you can't catch or spread the bug. You'd be totally fine. Matter of fact, hold on. I got a clip from Rachel Maddow from, I'm not sure when this was. This was a while back, of course. But it was emblematic of what's going on or what has been going on. Oh, matter of fact, this is March 29th, 2021. So about almost 2 years ago. Let's check it out.
Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus, The virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this. Okay? Now we know.
But obviously that wasn't true. This was repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again. And we now found out that there was never even any testing for this. Pfizer didn't test for this. They're just making stuff up. They're making it up. They told you that to give you some comfort, make you feel good, go get the shot, you'll be fine, back to the regular life. I mean, really, for real, it would have been better if they said, hey, go out there and get the shot and go back to your life, and they gave you a saline shot instead. That would have been better. It would have been the same thing. Actually, the saline shot would have been safer. That would have been safer because catching the bug is better than catching the bug from the vax. I'd rather catch the bug naturally than to get vaxxed and catch it that way. I mean, so that's what was going on. This is 2021 when she said that. The scandemic started in 2020. It's been 3 years now, and we know the full scope of it. We know all the lies. We know all the profiteering that's going on. Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson making big money. And Johnson & Johnson stopped producing theirs. It's been recalls. It's been all kind of stuff. So, hey, if you got the vax, I'm not here to judge you. But what I am saying is we were obviously lied to. And this is part of the reason why we don't trust government. We don't trust them. You see what's happening right now in Ohio, which is a travesty, a big mess. You know, they're talking about they can't give any aid from FEMA. Hold on, let me see if I can pull that up right quick. Ohio FEMA request. Let me see if they have updated this. So they turned down disaster relief from Ohio. All right. So the article says White House explains why it turned down disaster relief for Ohio. Biden administration official, what East Palestine needs is much more expensive than what FEMA can provide. Well, I mean, at a certain point, we need food and water, don't we? So why do we have local churches calling businesses to get food sent to people who live in East Palestine, Ohio? Why isn't the federal government doing that? Listen, the federal government has no problem giving Ukraine billions of dollars. No problem. But there's a natural disaster that happens in Ohio, and you got to negotiate. We got to try to figure out ways to make it happen. We getting turned down. I don't understand what more would they need? What other organization would help? Are you waiting on the company, the rail company, Norfolk Southern, to come through with their settlement money and then take that to fix what happened in East Palestine, Ohio? Meanwhile, people are still having to eat every day. They still got to drink water every day, and they can't drink from the creeks and the rivers and the ponds and everything else. They can't drink that water, obviously, because it's been contaminated. They can't eat the food. What are they going to do? Just go to Pittsburgh or somewhere, and then what? How are they going to live out there? How are they going to have a place to live, and how are they going to eat food, and what are they going to do for their kids' education? But hey, let's not worry about that problem. Let's worry about Ukraine, right? My man comes to Congress wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt talking about, hey, man, look, thank you for the $100 million, but we need more. We need more. I appreciate all the billions, not millions. I appreciate the billions you're giving me, but we need more. Matter of fact, I saw a story where they said they're going to be paying Ukrainian workers pensions in Ukraine. It's like, for real? Word up? Okay. But Army, veterans having a hard time getting their pensions, getting their pay that they were promised that they earned by fighting and dying and sacrificing their minds, their bodies, all of that for this country. They got to negotiate with the country to get that taken care of. It's not even that expensive, less than what they gave to Ukraine. But Ukrainians say, man, you need all that, go ahead and go for it. And I mean, really, I'm offended. I'm offended. It's really offensive. It's not even a matter of anything else other than being offended. It's kind of crazy, but that's where we are nowadays. We know where the priorities lie, not with you, the constituent, not with I, but with some other stuff. We got to protect the pet projects over there. We got to push forward globalism. We got to push forward European interests into Russia. I say European, I mean the West. We got to push more onto Russia and try to destabilize them and try to take over their natural resources. This whole proxy war we're fighting right now in Ukraine. Oh, we got to help the Ukrainians. Really? Is that what we're doing by keeping the war going? We should let Russia take Ukraine if they want Ukraine, because the longer we keep the war going on, the longer they're going to suffer. They're not going to, it's not going to be a happy ending. It's not going to be like, oh, okay, we're going to keep funding them and then Russia will be defeated and they're going to stop. It's going to be more heartache and sorrow, more Ukrainian and Russian lives lost because of the West imperialism, because of the West corrupt dealings over in Ukraine. It's simple. What are the odds that Hunter Biden's on the board of Burisma Holdings, getting 50 grand a month to do nothing with no experience and energy at all, and then when his dad goes from being the vice president to the president, now we are in Ukraine fighting this never-ending war that is unwinnable, that'll never be won because we're not trying to win. We're trying to wear Russia down for our own purposes. How are we talking about fighting the war when we sent an airplane that's worth probably millions of dollars? We're shooting missiles that cost $100,000 each at toy balloons, allegedly. Now they're saying that some of the balloons that were shot down, or maybe all of the other ones, except for the big Chinese one, that they were toys sent up by hobbyists, not even a threat at all. They might have cost $12, Amazon.com type stuff, allegedly. That's what they're saying. And one of the missiles missed the balloon, and that missile cost $100 grand. So now it's just out somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, chilling on the bottom of the ocean floor. Why? Dumb stuff. But hey, let's not worry about that because we got Ukrainians to help. Ohioans, hey man, call the church. Call your pastor. Let him help you. I can't do nothing for you. You pay federal income tax. So what? We're going to take that money and do whatever we want with it. We're going to take that money and just burn it. We're taking that money and burning it in D.C. We don't care about your taxpayer money. We got debt. We're going to just buy stuff. We don't care. So what? We're going to print and spend money. Are they 400 grand each? Wow, that's crazy. So a Sidewinder missile costs $435,000 each. And we missed one of them. And why do we have such high firepower on a balloon? Is that necessary? I mean, you can just throw a dart from the plane and hit it, and it'd be done. A Sidewinder missile, some military, like high firepower, anti-aircraft. Like, what are we doing? This is incompetence, but this is what we got going on. I don't see how anybody that is a logical person, that's a reasonable person, can see what's happening right now with the country and be like, you know what? We're doing a great job. Foreign relations on point, fiscal responsibilities on point, environmental issues on point. Oh, and by the way, has anybody seen Al Gore? Has anybody seen Greta Thunberg? Has anybody seen Bill Gates in East Palestine, Ohio? Has anybody seen them? I've seen local reporters. I've seen Fox News out there. But where's Greta Thunberg at? She's the environmentalist, right? She shows up when you have environmental things to talk about. Al Gore. Isn't Al Gore from that particular area? Where's he from anyway? Hold on. I think he's from like Midwest somewhere. Let me see. From D.C.? Of course he's from D.C. Let me see if I can read a little bit more about Al Gore. Okay, let me see. See, he's from D.C. in, Virginia. Close enough. And then he went to Carthage, Tennessee. Okay. Not too far away. Not very far. Ohio is bordering West Virginia, so it's right there. Check it out. You could have easily gone up there. I've not seen Al Gore since. Al Gore prefers to go on a private jet and just fly around the world and pretend to LARP, live action role play as a climate expert and give these ridiculous woke speeches to get money in his pocket. That's it. Okay. That's all. So what are we even doing? But that tells you how phony they are. That's all. Yeah, Tennessee is not far away. I live in Tennessee and Ohio. Like I drove pretty much to like Cincinnati. It's like probably about 5 hours. It's not far at all. You can go to Ohio. It's another part of Ohio by Pittsburgh, right around that area. By West Virginia, Morgantown, not too far from Morgantown. Nah, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to. We're taking a private jet to Brussels. We're going to Lublin, Poland. We're going somewhere else. We're not going to East Palestine or Palestine, Ohio. All right. But if you like what you're hearing thus far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. So you guys say Al Gore's from Tennessee, born in D.C. See, that tells you something right there. He was born in D.C. because his dad was a House rep. You see, he was born in the swamp, but I guess he was a House rep in Tennessee, a Tennessee House rep. But of course, you be out there in D.C. living. Man, Bear Pig. I missed a joke. Man, I'm seeing that quite a bit. I don't know where that's from, but shout out to y'all. Do I have more to talk about here? There's a lot going on. Let's see. Oh, this is probably the main event. Hold on. This one was really interesting to me. This kind of was controversial. The OnlyFans mom. Now, I won't be graphic here, and y'all please don't be graphic. We got kids watching. We know what OnlyFans is. If you don't know, OnlyFans, basically, it's a website where you can subscribe to, like, adult entertainers, okay? It's like Twitter, but you pay to subscribe to them. They put up content. You can also pay for individual content. Now, I'm not saying I've done my full research on it. I'm just saying I've been told that's how it works, right? But anyway, a mom, I forget which state, but a mom has children. I think more than one child. But the one boy she has is 7 years old, and he goes to a school, and they suspended him because the mom was on OnlyFans. Now, I suppose that somebody told the administration. That's what I read, that somebody got mad and told the administration. Now, how much you want to bet somebody's husband, one of the other mom's husbands, and got on OnlyFans, subscribed to her content, found her, and then it was a problem. Then they went to the administration and they suspended the boy. Now, here's my thing. And before I continue, I remember the Man Bear Pig now from South Park. I do remember that. Shout out South Park. Shout out to Trey Stone, Matt Parker, etc. Anyway, back to the OnlyFans mom. Now, I can understand if the mom got in trouble at her job for being on OnlyFans, depending upon what you do for a living, okay? Because you may have a certain kind of a code of ethics at your job. You can't do certain things off the clock. I can understand that, depending upon what you do. Now, some things, it doesn't really matter, okay? If you flip burgers for a living, who cares what you do off the, you can pretty much do whatever you want as long as you're not breaking no laws, all right? I don't care what you do. Working at McDonald's or Wendy's, ain't nobody gonna really care. But if you have a front-facing job and what you do can interfere with what you got going on, I can understand your employer having an issue with it. But that is if you are employed by somebody and they have an issue. But why would the boy be suspended because of what the mom did? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And furthermore, some are trying to say, well, it's to prevent bullying. How are you going to prevent bullying by suspending him? Because he's going to come right back to the school. He's going to come right back to the same school. So if there was bullying going on, then it's going to resume when he comes back. And since when did you suspend kids for being bullied? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you suspend the boy? Because his mom's on OnlyFans. And then here's something else. There's plenty of things people do that could be morally questionable. Personally, I don't like getting into the moral arguments when it's not something where it's kind of like, it's not really a thing that's going to affect me. Some things do affect me or they affect the children. Like, for example, and here's where it gets controversial and weird and you see the hypocrisy. Now, you could have drag queen story time with kids. I think that's inappropriate because I don't think kids should be subject to a drag queen or any other kind of sexual performer in their face. Now, I don't think the mom is having any of her kids in the content. Obviously, that's illegal. You can't do that. You're going straight to the penitentiary. If she was doing that, then it wouldn't be about suspending the boy. It'd be about sending her to jail. That's not going on. It's strictly adult stuff. And it's not involving anybody else other than adults that consent. You might not like it. You might say it's morally wrong. And okay, that's your opinion. That's totally fine. But why should the boy be punished because of what the mom did? I don't really get it. I don't, but to continue here, you can have drag queen story time and you got these fully grown 6'4" basketball playing looking dudes shaking their stuff in front of little children. And they say that's fine. They have that at a public library. You got little kids 5 years old watching that kind of stuff. Then you have sometimes when you have a trans reveal. I read this story a while ago and I covered it here on the channel where there was elementary school where one of the kindergartners in the class went to the bathroom and they came out as a quote unquote different gender, which is not real, but that's what it was presented as. All the kids are right there, totally confused. The kids going home crying. Am I going to become a boy? Am I going to become a girl? Mommy, I'm like crying, confused because little kids don't understand that kind of stuff. But that is totally fine, I suppose. Not to me, obviously. It shouldn't even be legal because you cannot expose kids to that kind of stuff in any other capacity. Okay? If a mother was to show their child adult material at their house and then the police come in, somebody's going to jail, and rightfully so. But for some reason, a drag show is not really part of that. When you got little kids sticking money into the drag queen's garter belt, that's not really your crime. That's okay. But when the mom does OnlyFans and it's totally adult, it's totally not involving anybody in the school, you want to suspend the boy? How does it make any sense? Somebody got offended. Somebody's wife got offended and then pressed her husband. Husband is weak. He has to go and probably join the wife to complain to the administration because the husband got caught on OnlyFans looking at the content. That's probably what happened. And the same thing happened. Well, it was similar, but not the same thing in, I think, Florida. So this case, I kind of understand, but I got to have a counter argument. Now, another case in Florida was a mom who was very involved with after school activities, very involved with the kids' football practice and stuff like that. Very involved, an active mother in the school, which is what you want, right? Didn't we cover the story in Baltimore, Maryland, where I told you guys about a boy that was ranked 60 out of 120 and had a 0.13 GPA, a 0.13 GPA. He was ranked 60 out of 120. This means he was average, middle of the pack, with a 0.13 GPA. And I said the main reason why that's going on is because the parents don't care. The parents don't care. I showed that video of the boy in his room playing PlayStation. Madden King already, 16, 17 years old. Madden King about to fail 12th grade and go all the way back to the 9th grade. Not just repeating the 12th grade, going back to the 9th grade at 18 years old. Anyway, I'm getting triggered. The mom was like, I don't know what happened. I don't know. He keep passing. Ma'am, your boy probably can't even read and you don't know. You don't see no report cards. You don't see FFFF. You don't see the report cards. You don't see that he's not even going to school. Do you ask him, hey, how's your day at school been? He's almost 18, but you don't know what's going on? It's BS. You're not involved. Let's go back to the case in Florida with the OnlyFans mom. She is involved. Kids probably got straight A's. But guess what? Because she's on OnlyFans now, she can't be involved in the way she was before. It's a double-edged sword, ain't it? Maybe one side is like, well, she's on OnlyFans. We don't want her around the kids, blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, it's like she's actively involved, volunteering. We want parents to be involved. We want volunteers. We want good kids. If the kids are good and she's volunteering, doing what she should do, why should her off-the-clock activities interfere? Furthermore, check this out. If you're going to suspend the boy or punish the parents at all for the off-the-clock activities, which aren't illegal, then how about the parents that get locked up? I've seen plenty of parents get locked up for drug selling, drug smoking. I mean, fentanyl addiction. We've seen plenty of that going on. Kids get put in foster care, all that kind of stuff, taken away from their family because of what their parents do. So if the mom gets caught smoking crack in front of the school, you suspend the boy for that? She can go to jail for that. She's obviously a danger to him and everybody else. Smoking crack right in front of the school. You suspend him for that, or do you just arrest her and get him into a safe place? Get him in a CPS or a family member's house? Why would you punish the boy for what the mom did? If you're not going to punish the boy for criminal actions, then why punish him for non-criminal actions? It doesn't make any sense. Off the clock meaning not at work, or how should I say, like in the figurative sense. You understand what I mean? Like when she's not volunteering, when she's in her private time, put it to you that way. Why should the boy be punished what the mother does in her private time? It's not illegal. She's not involving the kids at all. That's what she does. You know, and I've been around for a long time. It's a lot of things people do. It's a lot of things that happen. A lot of parents do a lot of different things you would never know about. I've seen pretty much everything in this world. They do all kind of stuff, but their main focus is making sure their kids get a good education, the kids are safe, and as long as they're not doing anything illegal or endangering the child at all, then I have no problem. Morally, we can have that discussion. Of course, we could say that it's morally wrong. We could say that it's nasty or gross. That's our opinion. But ultimately, if I say a thing is morally wrong or it's nasty or gross, am I going to adopt their kids? Am I going to pay for the kids' tuition? Am I going to put food on the table? I'm not going to do that. So how can I punish them for what I think is not right? Ultimately, it's not my place to really interfere because I can't help. It's one of those things. It's a weird thing. So I'm reading some of the comments here, and I'm going to see what's happening. There might not be a dad. I'm not really sure. I can't say that for certain. There might not be a dad. But you know, there's a lot of single moms out here that don't care, that I just throw their kids away, throw them in the garbage can. You know that the comedian Tommy Davidson from A Living Color and a few movies, he was thrown in a dumpster by his biological mother, found in a dumpster by a white mother and raised with her family. Real talk. That's a real story. So she could do that, right? Or there's other options you can do. But if you have the child and the child's here and you got the economy going on, the economy's rough, you never know somebody's story. I've heard all kinds of stories. I done heard about, you know, they're married to the husband, he dies, gets shot, killed. I mean, anything. Or it could be domestic violence. She might have left on her own, whatever. Whatever the adults do, the kids are innocent. And that goes back to my original point. You don't punish the child for what the parents do, especially when it's not even illegal. Even if it was illegal, I've never heard about a mom or a dad going to jail and then the kids, as a result, get punished, like suspended from school or expelled. That's just kind of crazy. All right. Men on Film. Yeah, shout out to Men on Film. Jamie Foxx, Tommy Davidson, Booty Call. Yeah, that was a good movie. Yep. Yeah. Tommy Davidson, an amazing comedian. You would never know about his life story unless you really kind of looked it up. But yeah, that's a real thing. So it's like, what do you do? Parents sometimes make tough decisions for their children, but I respect any parent that takes care of their kids. I might not agree with what you do, but your focus should be your children, period. Because a lot of parents give zero effort. They don't care about the kids at all. They couldn't care less. Moms and dads, they couldn't care less. I done seen all kind of stuff. Kids outside all hours of the night. I mean, I've seen a lot of that. Little kids, 5, 6 years old, outside, like 1 o'clock in the morning, chilling, like it ain't nothing going on. Did you see that? That the Chappelle, I think it was a special. He's talking about there was a baby like selling crack. Like that's not that far from the truth. That happens. Not an infant goo goo gaga diaper mode, but 8 years old. Yeah, that's going on. That's definitely happening. So that's just what that is. All right. Shout out to you, Elbory. Hey man, be safe on your on your deployment. Hopefully you get to watch a little bit of ABL live when you're out there on your deployment. Where you going, boss? But don't answer that because we got you can't be spilling the beans like that. Yeah, Varnell Hill. All that. Talking about Tom Davidson's characters. I'm reading some of the comments here. Yeah, the baby on the corner. Yeah, that, like I said, an infant on the corner might be a little bit of a stretch, but little kids, 8, 9 years old, yeah, that's not even really abnormal. Easy says, I for real worked with a woman that was picked up from the office by cops for throwing her newborn twins in the trash chute in college, small private college in Brunswick, Virginia. Crazy. Yeah. It's like that, man. It's real out here. It's real out here. When you see things like it's things happening outside your door you would never know about. I've seen so much. I've heard so much. Doing this channel over the past few years, I've covered quite a few stories that are crazy, but I also get a lot of emails. I've seen so much. It's kind of hard for me to really be surprised anymore. But one thing I know, I respect anybody that takes care of their children, that goes above and beyond. I might not agree with what they do personally, but that's not my opinion about morality is not really as important as their child's need to eat food and have somewhere to live at. And that's just it. I'm not going to say that a child should be deprived of a home to live and to thrive because of what their parents do. You see kids that have parents that they might strip or they might be doing adult stuff and they grow up to be really good kids. That's just what that is. All right. So I'm reading some of the comments here. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. Oh yeah. Van Pasterman says, ABL, that is right out of the show, The Wire, Kids Doing the Business. Yeah. The Wire was a documentary. That was very accurate, because I lived some of that type of stuff. I didn't live in Baltimore, obviously, but I lived in urban areas, whatever, as a kid. I saw all of that. My experience, middle school, was just like what it was in The Wire. Now I had a good home. I had good parents, great mom, great dad. They were not together, but I still had good parents, if you understand. My dad was always around. My mom, worked a lot. She was always around. But a lot of kids didn't have that. You would go to school with kids that didn't have any clothes to wear. They wear the same thing every day. Kids weren't bathing. It was a mess. Kids go through a lot of different things with parents that don't really care. So my thing is, seeing stuff like that, you appreciate parents that take care of their children. You can address their moral shortcomings at a later time. Go to church and judge them there where everybody else does. But anyway, I digress. All right. Let me see. Top Ramen says, like I said earlier, I know another teacher who is married and has a child. They make over, $100,000 and get EBT. There is no excuse to do something like that. Yeah. Then see, now that's called fraud. That's illegal. That's called welfare fraud. That's 100% illegal. Or it should be illegal because if you got money, you shouldn't be taking EBT. What are we doing? People do that though. They get all kind of benefits. and make plenty of money. They don't need the money, but they take the money. Yeah, 6 figures on EBT. I believe it. I knew of a guy that made 6 figures and lived in the projects. And he was paying like almost full rent. And it's like, what are you doing? He said he felt safer in the projects than he did outside the projects. I'm like, okay. You know, people just do weird things. I think that's that's kind of wrong too, because the projects, it's a waiting list for the projects. You need to be giving that space up to somebody that needs it, rather than just staying there because of your own weird thought process that you feel safer here. The projects are not safer at all. Not in the least bit. You need to go somewhere else and get your mind right. Yeah, scammers. Scammers are the new norm nowadays. Unfortunately, the scammers are at an all-time high. The whole the pandemic kind of changed the way the world operates. There was always scamming, but I think it got much more creative and bold during the scamdemic, because the whole thing, the way the PPP loan was set up, it was for scammers. Get a fake LLC, well, not a fake LLC, a real LLC, and say, hey, I'm having hardship. All right, give me some money. It was normies. I'm talking about cold normies getting that money. And of course, if you got normies getting like $10,000, $30,000, $40,000, you're going to have guys that are a little bit above that doing these big schemes. As I said on a previous show, there was a rapper, I forget his name. He's from a group called Pretty Ricky. Maybe Blue or something like that. Anyway, this guy was involved in a $24 million PPP loan scheme. He did, I think, less than 1 year in the penitentiary, and he pays $1 million in cash restitution. So my question is, okay, you know how they say the scheme was worth $24 million. My question is, how much did he actually pocket? Does he have any money left? And how much is left? Is it $1 million left or what? Does he have any cryptocurrency? That's what I want to know. If he stole, let's say half of that, $12 million, he done spent $5 million, did a year in a joint, and he has to pay another $1 million. So what's that? He has $6 million left. Guys will do that. Guys will risk that kind of light sentence to get that kind of money. If you were to ask guys in the hood right now, hey, would you do a year in the penitentiary for $6 million? They'd be like, yeah. They would do a year in the joint for $100,000. $6 million? Yeah, they do it. They would do it. Not saying it's right, but it is what it is. Matter of fact, it's more than that, because I said 12. I mean, if he spent 5, he still got to 5. So he had $11 million. $11 million and still kept 1. Oh, and then the race thing is not even really, it doesn't even apply to PPP loans. There was all kind of stuff going on. I was watching this video of a truck driver talking about how there were a lot of fake trucking companies out there after the PPP loan from Mexico and Canada. So you got French Canadians, Mexicans, whites, blacks, Puerto Rican, candy stripes, and everybody all over the world. Everybody was scamming. Everybody. It was not a race thing at all. So yeah, that's just what that is, man. People will do all kind of stuff for that money. And they said from the jump, we're going to prosecute you. All right, well, catch me. A lot of these guys fled the country, and they got their money, and that's it. If you were a guy that has like dual citizenship, you are a U.S. citizen, but you also live in Russia or somewhere, and you scam PPP for like $10 million, and you fled back to Moscow, you would never get caught. They ain't gonna send you back for no 10 million. No, they're not sending you back. They will not send you back. It's crazy. Were the Hungarians scamming? I have no idea. I feel like everybody was scamming. If you were able to come over here and get a fake LLC or real LLC and claim some kind of hardship, you were able to scam. That was going on all over the place. But I digress. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. Christy Miller says, had a CEO of a small company I work for do a year for funneling 1.5 million. I'm sure he would I've done it again. Yeah. It was something else. I saw something else where a guy was talking about, he was in the penitentiary talking to a guy that was there for white collar crime. You know, when they embezzlement, stuff like that. So the one guy robbed a bank. Matter of fact, I know a guy that robbed a bank before. I know a guy that did serial bank robberies in real life. You can look him up, Talik Harris in Virginia Beach. He did serial bank robberies. I put it's in news. You can look it up. It's all over the place. I'm not snitching. It's like in the newspaper. His face is out there, everything. But he did serial bank robberies, and the guys were getting like 36 years, 20 years. I think Leak got like 15 to 20. But anyway, I saw a video where another guy was talking about he embezzled money from a company and got like 2 years or some kind of light sentence rather than like robbing the bank. This country's crazy the way it works and the way it operates. And some of these high collar criminals, these white collar, high dollar criminals, they will steal, they will do anything, and they'll figure out a way to finesse the system to not really get punished or get punished very lightly. You got to crack down on that in 2023 because it's going to keep on going because guys are just getting away with stuff or getting very light sentences. All right. Super chats on deck. Then I'm going to get to the calls. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. Let me go to where the super chats are and make sure everything is good. And so I don't miss anybody. Today is the 18th, correct? Yes, it is. Thank you to Dutch Schaefer, who says, hey, ABL, I read that former Prime Minister of Israel said a peace deal was met a while back between Russia and Ukraine, but the U.S. and U.K. prevented this from happening. That's probably true. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it at all. I believe that 100%. Thank you for your super chat, though. I definitely appreciate you. Thank you and before I continue, the reason why they wouldn't accept that is because the war is needed to continue to be profitable, to make it make sense for them to push forward their agenda. They don't want it to end. It could end right now, but they don't want it to end. You know, the way to end it, just let Russia have it. Because if you don't, then it's going to continue. It's just that simple. Ukraine will not win. That's the whole point. And speaking of television and stuff like that, I was watching this show called Ozark. I just happened to turn on the TV and see it because I was in an Uber with a guy, and he was actually an actor on Ozark. Like, I'm not sure he had a big role or what. But anyway, I was watching Ozark, and they were talking about their drug selling without spoiling the show. They sell the drugs during like a church service on the lake, on the water. And the reason they do that is because it's not really being patrolled that heavy, all this and that. Anyway, the guy is trying to build the pastor a new church off of the water on the land. And he gets confronted by the local drug dealer saying, hey, you can't do that because if you successfully build this church, then you're going to mess the whole operation up. Keep the pastor on the water. Do not build the church. And then the guy was like, okay, we'll keep building the church. It won't get finished. We'll continuously keep building the church with no construction completion. Okay. It'll be one of those, like interstate projects never get finished. Okay. You going down interstate 85 or whatever you live. And since you've been a little boy, they've been working on it. It'll never get finished. The whole point is make it be a big money pit. They got to keep getting cash for it every single year. You got to get this and you got to get that. Before you know it, 30 years didn't pass and it's never finished. That's what's going on right now with Ukraine. They're not going to finish the war because the process is what they want. They're not going to finish. Michael Critchlow says, what exactly does it reveal about human beings when a child can be suspended from school over the mother's OnlyFans, but if that same parent committed a heinous crime, the child wouldn't get suspended? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. It's totally crazy. Yeah, exactly. Bridge to nowhere or something else. Right. NKM, you're exactly right. But you're right about that, Michael Critchlow. If a mom commits a heinous crime or a parent that commits a heinous crime, the child does not get punished. So why would they get punished here for the mom being on OnlyFans? Thank you to I Like Salt, who says, enjoy your shows. ABL, thank you for that. Definitely appreciate you. Thank you to, hold on, make sure I'm in the right place here. Thank you to, okay, I went way ahead, didn't I? No, I didn't. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back. All right, hold on. Thank you to Leo Mazzina, who says, New Jersey State Senator Samuel Thompson, 87, left the GOP to join the Democrats after they questioned his fitness because of his age. Wow, that's crazy. Really? Is that recent? That's nuts. Thank you to Purple, who says, I think the residents of East Palestine should block the railroad and protest and demand something is done before they move. That is the only way. Hey, that's a good point. Put a concrete barrier right there. It won't go nowhere, or it'll get derailed again. Thank you to Dutch Schaefer, who says, remember when Biden said to Fetterman's wife, welcome to the Senate, you'll be a great Senate lady? I don't remember that, but shout out to you. Thank you to, hold on, Johnny Favreau, who says, February 18th, President Carter is on home hospice care. You hear about that? Excuse me. Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm surprised he's still living, to be totally honest with you. How old is Jimmy Carter? Jimmy Carter's got to be well into his 90s. Hold on. 98 years old. I mean, a long life. Shout out to him. Long life, man. To live that long is not very common. Thank you to Kev Bar 1959, who says, my experience with the left, those on the left, when debating a point, when offer a counterpoint and they have no rebuttal, the profanity and character assassination follows, like toddler behavior in a sense. Correct. 100%. Thank you to In Fiction, who says, Don Lemon about to get Andrew Tated. Exactly. Thank you to No White Guilt, who says, how about an ABL and Fetterman monthly news wrap up? We could call it Betterman and Fetterman. Hilarious. Thank you to RWD Channel, who says, now that George Soros said he wants Trump and DeSantis to fight for 2024 presidential election, what should we do to not play into that scenario? It doesn't matter what he says. If they're going to run, then they're going to run. So it doesn't really matter what they say. I mean, what can you do? If you're going to run, you're going to run. Thank you to James Tiberius Kirk, who says, hey there, Anthony, longtime fan from Australia. Keep up the great work, mate. Really love your content. Keeping it real. Cheers. Aussie Pure Blood. Shout out to the Pure Bloods out there in Oz. Thank you to Papanaya Shelley, who says, I want all that class action lawsuit settled. # Pure Blood. Papanaya Shelley also become a member and upgraded to ABO Squad. Thank you for that. Thank you to Alien Spaceship, who says, Georgia Pete says hi and keep up the prayers for her mom. Y'all are the best chat on the internet. Thank you to James Lynch, who says, so true, Anthony. Thank you to TJ Jizzle, who says, the federal government should be ashamed about Ohio. Mr. Logan, feds won't give money, I think, because this town went 80% shrunk red. Yep, there you go. Let it have been New York City, San Francisco, something like that. They'd have been out there in the heart skipping the jump. A quick flash. Thank you to Michael Critchlow, who says, why no videos about Newsmax censorship by DirecTV? This is the second time AT&T deplatformed a conservative news network, i.e. One America News. Well, I don't know what's happening with that because sometimes channels get dropped from these cable companies, and I'm not sure what the context is. I don't know the story. I've not even heard about that until right now, so I don't know. But just my initial reaction would be it might not be that they're being censored. It could be something else going on. So you got to give me a little bit more details than that. All right. Shout out to Prince of the Cats, who says, can you please do an update on the A7000 IRS agents? Is a new house going to defend it? Thanks. That's a good question. I heard that they were trying to pause that. I think it did get paused, if I'm not mistaken, but they might end up going forward because I just did a video recently about them trying to take tip money from waitresses in a more advanced way because they know that it's not really getting reported like that. So they want to try to figure out a way to audit them. So we're going to see. And they said that they were going to be out there for the rich people. They don't need to have nobody new for the rich people. There's already a whole system set up for rich people. They already have direct contact with the federales already. Their lawyers and the CPAs and whatnot already talk to the government directly right now. Why do you need more guys to continue that work? The other guys are going to be for your regular normies coming up. That's it. To do audits on people, not the big corporations. Thicketed Mitchell says, good job, ABL. Look at the money for those here illegally. Thicketed Lothair, who says, we have to hang out live. I live in Lexington. Okay. Yeah, I was out there recently in Lexington. I was, not Lexington. I was in, I was out Lexington, Kentucky. Yep, because I went that way to go to West Virginia. Matter of fact, I was in Winchester. So I went right by where you live. Shout out to you. Thank you to James Tiberius Kirk, who says, war in Ukraine feeds the military-industrial complex. War equals profit. Al Gore's farm uses 24 times the energy in the week the average U.S. home uses in a year. FEMA should render help to Ohio immediately. Aussies are aware of it all. God bless you, Mr. Logan. Thank you for that, man. Definitely appreciate you. Okie dokie. Now, time for the calls. The number to call is 434-658-1220. Again, 434-658-1220. There's also a Skype email in the description. If it doesn't work right, it's not my fault. Blame the white man, not me. So go ahead and get rocking and rolling. And let's make sure that everything's all good. All right. And the phone lines are open. Let's see if it's going to work. It might be messing up already. All right. I think we're good now. 918, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, what's up, baby? Baby Scott from Oklahoma. How you doing, buddy?
It's all good, man. What's happening?
Hey, well, there's a lot happening in the world right now. I had 5 topics written down, but I'm only going to pick one. And it's funny that you mentioned it, because you mentioned something about the show Ozark.
Yeah.
A little bit ago.
Yep.
Which I haven't seen that, but there's a town in Missouri called Ozark, Missouri. Have you heard anything about that?
No.
Ozark, Missouri?
No, I haven't. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Yeah. Hey, cut out that for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this. I mean, this is going down a rabbit hole. So, I mean, put your floral hat on, and, it's some Jesse Ventura, Alex Jones stuff right here, But there's a town called Ozark, Missouri, not far from Springfield, Missouri, which is where my oldest brother lives. There's a great restaurant there called Lambert's, where they have the best chicken fried steak and best hot rolls. But I'll digress from that. Anyway, in Ozark, Missouri, it's right in the middle of the Ozark Mountains. So there's a lot of caves around this area. And there is just a massive underground tunnel of caves that go to all different kinds of places. And they're building a house there that is strong enough to withstand like a nuclear bomb. I mean, it's not like the White House. It's like the Steel House. It's like a military mansion. So I'm going to say, if you got the time or the free time or whatever, look up Ozark, Missouri. You'll be very surprised what you find out about there. And one last thing, before I go, you were talking about some food earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, I got me a George Foreman grill a little over a month ago. Bought that for a gift for myself. Hey, that thing is awesome. Man, it cooks meat perfectly.
Oh, I love it. It's perfect.
It is, yeah. Oh, hamburger, steaks, chicken, pork chops, whatever. You know, I mean, and I'm not being paid for this either. I'm not getting paid by George Foreman, even though I wish I was.
Right.
You know? Yeah. All right, man. Love you, dude. Love everybody in the chat and the show, and I'm going to sit back and enjoy the rest of it.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you.
All right, later, dude.
All right. Great call. And you guys are fantastic. And on the drill, the number to call, 434-658-1220. All right. Got line speaker 2347.
Hey, how you doing? I just turned on the stream in the background. How you doing? My name is Liam. I'm calling from Austin, Texas. How you doing?
It's all good, man. About yourself?
Okay, good. You can hear me. Yeah, I'm just calling. First off, I want to give a shout out to my friend Grace. She's listening right now. And real quick, we start off with, be speedy because I know that's proper phone etiquette. I just wanted to say, I was in McDonald's the other day, and I rarely go to fast food anymore just because, like, I know I always have problems. And I just want to say that, it's really hard these days to go anywhere without, like, running into these woke people, because it's like, when I was ordering the food, she was kind of, like, talking behind me, like, and the woman that was taking the order didn't speak any English, and I didn't really understand like that she didn't speak English from the beginning. So, the woman behind me, she was just going off on and on and on, and so when it came to like me ordering my drink, I kind of told the lady like I wanted a medium Coke, and then she didn't understand me, and I said it kind of rudely the second time. So after that, it was just a normal lunchtime, rush time kind of order. And anyway, long story short, basically the woman behind me, she got upset with me because she thought I was being disrespectful and started doing that, trying to, like she said that, you need to respect her because you're a white man, and that you need to talk to her in her native tongue and all this stuff. And then I said, why are you bringing it? Say it again.
Her native tongue, really?
Yeah. And anyway, no. And then this is like I asked her like, why are you bringing race into this? And she said, no, you're bringing race into this because you're white. And then I realized she's doing that whole woke thing and stuff, and I just like stopped. I just like stopped paying attention to her, and then and then I left, and I'm just left kind of like thinking like, man, like you can't just go anywhere without just having a normal interaction these days. It's crazy. So that's my story. I had to get that off my chest.
Nah, that's crazy, man. I mean, like you said, it shouldn't be like that out here in the world. It should be pretty regular and normal, but people are pretty irregular nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I was so confused by the whole situation. I'm like, even confused telling you the story because it was just so like weird, I mean, I can't describe like how confusing it was, just the whole situation. I mean, it was just, I don't know. I left feeling like, I don't know. I don't want to go back to McDonald's anymore or really any fast food place for that matter, because I just don't want to have problems like that.
Right. No, I feel you. So,
anyway. All right, then, everybody take care. Be careful when you go out in public. Don't go to busy places. You might, get yourself involved with one of these people. So take care. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. All righty. Good call. Yeah, that's kind of a weird situation. Like, what do you do when you confront it with something like that? That's just kind of weird. 512, you're in line. Who am I speaking to?
I still think you're a very intelligent man. I don't think Pete Buttigieg is. He is ridiculous. And this news story about 1,000, train wrecks a year or whatever it is, they are no comparison to the train wreck for these poor people. I think their whole town is destroyed. The water, I think if they started, they could actually catch it on fire. The government really needs to step in and help these people. We're helping the Ukraine and everybody else around the world. Can we help our own people out? And great to hear from you again. I love watching you. Have a good one.
Thank you for your call. Definitely appreciate you. Yeah, where's your man Buttigieg at? Is he even does he exist anymore or nah? Like is he still part of the government? Is he still the Secretary of Transportation or nah? I can't really see what's going on here.
Is she pretty?
402 line, I'm speaking to.
Pretty irate.
402, hello.
ABL.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my God. Okay, I can't believe I'm talking to you. I'm gonna make this quick. So you were talking about like diet and stuff like that. And I've been a professional chef for 44 years now. And due to my profession, working with food on a day-to-day basis, I basically eat like one meal a day. You know, something a little bit in the morning, get me go, you know, get through the lunch hunger pain. And then, you know, when I get home after I chill out, I eat my dinner, try to eat as healthy as I can, and that's it. And I can tell you, man, once you get through those hunger pains where you can fight through them, where you don't have to eat all the time, I got zero major health problems, you know, this and that. It's not like I don't ever get sick, but I'm telling you, man, I'm 60 years old and I feel fantastic.
Yeah,
I just think, processed foods, all that stuff, I just think it's just bad for you all the way around.
So, what do you eat like on a typical day? Like, what kind of food are you eating?
You know, I eat steak, I eat chicken, I eat fried foods, that kind of stuff. And I know it's unhealthy, but I eat whatever I want. And I really think when your body is fighting, you know, like the hunger pains, like, you know, a lot of doctors talk about, you know, and I'm no health professional. I mean, nobody take my advice. I'm just telling you my story. You know, if your body's fighting and you're working hard all day and you get that hunger pain, like it's like the fasting thing. I just think there's a lot to it. That's all I'm saying. I think there's more to fasting and not just, you know, eating all the time, because like you said, you go to the grocery store, you can get whatever you want. You know, people don't know about farming. Like, you know, back in the day, you were out working your butt off all day long, you know, and you were lucky to get any food. And we're just fat, dumb, and happy.
Right, exactly.
That's all I got to say, man, and really appreciate you. Love your work. We need more people like you.
Thank you for your call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
You betcha.
A great call. See, like I'm on the same page with him. You know, and once your body gets used to that, then you'll be fine. But a lot of people, it just eat all day, and it's not necessary to do that. Once you live in a certain type of way and you just kind of train your body, you'll be totally fine. 443 in the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL. This is Elle coming out of Baltimore. Unfortunately, how are you doing tonight?
It's all good. How about yourself?
Not too shabby. So, I wanted to know, have you heard about Rachel Levine? Oh, about what they said?
I'm not sure. I know you're speaking about, but I'm not quite sure what this person said.
Okay. So I saw an article the other day, and they were saying that a parent should be replaced with a supportive adult in regards to affirming the identity of a trans child. And I thought that sounded kind of strange because that sounded predatory. Because if you think about it, right, predators in the wild, when they try to separate what they want for food to kill or to take advantage of, they always try to go for the most vulnerable. So that's all I have to say.
I agree with you. Right on. Thank you for your call. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Have a good night.
Same to you now. Yeah, that was a really good point. You know, they want to get the dominant force out the way. That's how child predators operate. I was watching another video where a child predator was being interviewed. I guess the guy was in jail or something like that. I'm not really sure. But the person was saying that he won't approach a child if there's a parent there, especially the father. That's just so what she just said, what the people were talking about is exactly the whole script. Get the father out the way so they can attack. 909 on the line. Who am I speaking to?
This is Larry in Arizona.
All righty. What's going on?
Well, there's a lot going on. There's a whole lot going on. This administration is really something else. When you pack your administration full of equity and equality and inclusion, you get things that happen in Ohio.
That's
My
right.
wife and I both, for years, worked with very many very caustic substances, acids and neutralizers and all different kinds of things. We worked we had an anodizing shop, and there are many chemicals involved, and even chemicals with heat. And we learned very early on that you have to know how to neutralize those chemicals. Setting fire to those chemicals is not a way to neutralize them. This entire fiasco that happened down in Ohio is just total mismanagement right from the start. Where in the world is the EPA? Where are they? How come they didn't have experts on the spot immediately to neutralize those chemicals so that they would no longer be a threat? This is just one more example of a cabinet and an administration that does not have their eye on the ball.
Now, here's a question. The burn off, how do you feel about that? Was that a good decision? Do you have any insight on the burn off?
The burn off was total insanity. When you take chemicals like what they were dealing with and you heat them up like that, all it does is turn them into vapor. And that vapor gets into the atmosphere. It attracts itself to any water molecules that happen to be in the atmosphere, and it turns back into the liquid that it originally was and falls to the ground. Now, I've seen some videos from there where people have taken rocks and dropped them in a small stream, and when they drop that rock in the small stream, the chemicals come up to the surface. That means that those chemicals are still intact, that they're heavier than water. And what that means is that those chemicals are going to seep into the ground forced by the water. And that ground is going to be contaminated for years.
Wow. Terrible. And then also, you have groundwater as well, because people out there, they live on well water sometimes too.
Yes. And those chemicals are going to leach through the ground into the water table, and they will resurface.
Wow.
This is nothing to fool around with. These people that set this thing on fire are absolute idiots. And all they're doing is they're letting the railroad do CYA. That's all they're doing. You can't let the railroad hire an independent company to come in and do the testing. They're going to come up with the results that the railroad wants.
Correct.
The whole situation is ludicrous. When we were working with those chemicals, we had the EPA coming into our facility at least once every 3 months to run tests, not only on the chemicals, but on the floor and on the ground outside the building. And we were dealing with chemicals like nitric acid, sulfuric acid, anodizing chemicals, dyes, all different kinds of dyes, caustic soda, which is supposed to be used to neutralize the acid. We had you wouldn't even believe the kind of water quality requirements that we had to live up to before we could get rid of any water at all. You had to be able to drink the water. Yeah, you had to be able to drink the water before you could put it into the drains.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, these people don't know what they are doing. And Mayor Pete is the worst possible person to have in that office. but he's there because he represents inclusion. You know, it aggravates me. It really aggravates me. I just wanted to get that off my chest and let your viewers and listeners know that this whole thing is not being handled appropriately.
Well, thank you for your call. That was very informative because I had no idea about a lot of that. So I'm glad you called in. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Same to you. Very good call. Very, very good call. Because, you know, the whole thing about burning the chemicals off didn't make any sense. But, you know, I think ultimately, the ultimate goal here was to get the trains moving again. That's all. Because that's a very busy spot right there. And trains still got to move. Still got to get things from point A to point B. You got to clear the tracks. So the trains got to move. Matter of fact, I think the train's moving right now. And I was watching one of the videos from that area, and somebody lives there said that the trains are going faster now than they were before. Why? Well, not faster, but more frequent, because you had a backlog because of the accident. Clean it up and let's keep going. Let us keep moving the trains through. That's what's going on, in my opinion. So it's a crazy situation. Let's keep on going here. 614, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, ABL, this is a stranded life form, unfortunately, in Ohio. Luckily, I am far away from the derailment, so it's not affecting, quote unquote, affecting my area. But I do just want to say that the chemicals that went up into the air covered a much larger area than what is being focused on. And the thing is it's coming down, it's contaminating not only the water, but the soil as well. Ohio, you know, we have our large cities, but in between those cities is a lot of farmland. And the thing is Ohio, even though we have multiple vegetable crops, our biggest crops is corn, as well as livestock, beef, chicken, etc. We have 3 of the country's largest egg farms in Ohio as well. So y'all think that your prices are high now.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, these chemicals contaminating the soils, how is it going to affect next year's crops? How is it going to affect the livestock? How is it going to affect the, production of our food or food source? So, I'm just saying, those prices on things are going to go way up because of this, not just the the disaster itself, the immediate disaster of the people that are being affected, but there's going to be long-term effects. Be prepared. That's all I'm saying. Be prepared.
Right on, absolutely.
So, and another thing I want to add too, you made a comment earlier about how these, younger generation, they don't really know where their food comes from.
Yeah.
I think it should be part of the school criteria. Take these kids on field trips to farms. Let them see this is where your food comes from. This is how you get your food. This is a problem.
Absolutely. It really is.
So I just, So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on that one.
Well, thank you for your call. I definitely appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate you too. Thank you. You have a good night.
Same to you. Great call. Yeah, the whole thing with the with the farms, people don't really understand where the food comes from, and that's very important for people, not just the kids, but the people, everyone. with kids so they can become adults to understand it. But definitely, you need to educate people about what's going on for sure. All righty. 681, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Yes. I had a comment for ABL.
It's me right now, right? You're speaking to me live right now, boss.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. ABL, you're doing a fantastic job. I really like your show. I'm from Charleston, West Virginia.
All right, Charleston. Okay.
I was just wondering what you thought about Biden's State of the Balloonian address.
I didn't see the comment he made. I read it, and it wasn't really much. It's like you're not really giving a whole lot. You're talking about him addressing the balloon itself, right?
Yeah, talking about him addressing the balloons.
Yeah, he didn't really. Go ahead.
Jimmy Kimmel called it his State of the Balloonian address.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, really, he could have kept it because he really didn't tell us too much.
No, he sure didn't, man.
Right.
No, and let me digress, talking about nutrition. My favorite restaurant here in Charleston, West Virginia is Them Two Brothers and a Grill.
Okay.
Them Two Brothers and a Grill. Of course, they have a lot of barbecued meat and stuff like that, but I like their cabbage, their macaroni and cheese. They have all kinds of great sides.
Right. I mean, the main thing is just the main thing is just eating not too much all day. No, because you can get some of those hot dogs or whatnot down Camel Creek. Get some hot dogs down there. You can go to Geno's all day, but if you eat that all day long, then you be getting to be.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't eat there very often. I like their veggies. I like their cabbage. They have great cabbage. Macaroni and cheese is good. But I go to Middle Eastern restaurants. I eat a lot of hummus also.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, the main thing.
Well, we got noise in the back. We got noise in the background. You probably got me on in the background too. You turn it off for me right quick.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I try to eat healthy all the time. I used to be a total vegan, but every once in a while I'll fix me a great pepperoni pizza at home. I use an organic pizza crust, and I fix spinach pizzas, stuff like that. Because of this pandemic, I don't go to any restaurants.
Okay.
When I do order from a restaurant, I have them meet me at the door, curbside pickup.
Right.
But unfortunately, this day and time, we can't really go to It's not really safe to go inside a restaurant. You see people walking around all the time without wearing masks, and it's not smart, man.
The masks don't work. They came out and said that. They came out and said it on TV. Like even left and the right, they're saying it don't work. They say it might make you feel.
Oh no, they don't work. I worked at a chemical plant for 40 years. I worked with the most hazardous chemicals you can ever think of. I'm not going to mention the chemical plant I worked in.
Well, I know where it is. I'm from there, so I know where it is, but I won't say because it's the plant right there in Charleston. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, it's not that one. It's another one.
Okay. I got you.
I'm sure you know all about all of them.
Yes.
I don't want to mention them and give them any adverse publicity, but I've seen it all, man, with these chemicals.
Yeah.
I used to have to wear oxygen tanks on my back every day, and I feel sorry for the people in Palestine, Ohio.
Now, I got a question for you. I got a quick question. Were you around when the spill happened in the river?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir. Sure.
How was that? Like, were you bottled water for everything for a while?
Yeah, here in Charleston, I guess they still do. I don't drink tap water anymore. I didn't even drink it back then. I get bottled spring water at Kroger's, but they got their water supply out of the Elk River. I'm sure they still do.
Uh-huh.
And they distributed all that water all around these different communities, and it was a mess, man. It was a mess. The way I first discovered it was about 2 days before they announced the spill, one of my dogs started throwing up.
Oh, wow.
I had a dog throwing up, and a couple of days later, they announced that terrible spill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't. Of course, after that, we didn't even give our dogs tap water. I still don't. I spend a lot of money. I have 3 dogs. I spend a lot of money every month buying my dogs bottled spring water.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a nightmare back then. Whew.
Yeah, I remember. I got family up there. They were telling me that it was terrible. Like, and then you would go to a restaurant, and then they would use bottled water to cook. It was a mess. So I remember everything about that.
You couldn't even take a shower, man.
Yeah. Yep. Bath water, everything was bottled water.
Yeah. We right after it happened, we had to buy bottled water and wash ourselves off.
Right.
But when I worked in a chemical plant, I had to wear oxygen tanks on my back, rubber suits, not every day, but almost every day. And of course, these chemical plants, they burn off the chemicals a lot of the times. They have different ways to neutralize the chemicals, but a lot of times they have these flare stacks that they the vents, the stuff that comes off the vents, they send it to a flare and it just burns it off and turns it into, it doesn't totally destroy it. It turns it into different stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, the Kanawha Valley here, it's, as far as the air quality, it's one of the worst in the world.
Right. It's called it Chemical Valley.
Used to be the Chemical Valley of the world, man.
Yeah.
I don't think it is now, but what can I say? I'd like to move. I'd like to move somewhere out of this valley, but I'm 70 years old, and I've got a house already paid for here, so it looks like I'm stuck here for the rest of my life.
Gotcha. Well, it's a good place to live. It got its pros and its cons, but ultimately, at least, hey, you could be in California, which would be a lot worse, man. But thank you for your call. I definitely appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I appreciate talk. I like your show, man, and I'll be watching you for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
I hung up on a little bit too quick, but yeah, shout out to the caller from West Virginia. Yeah, I remember the whole thing with the spill. So, in case you don't remember the spill that happened back a few years ago, what happened was, in Canal County, right there on the river, the Canal River. Well, it might have been the Canal River. I think it might have been up a little bit. But anyway, it's a bunch of chemical plants on the river, basically. There was a storage tank on the river that had corroded, and it began to leak into the river. And then when it was discovered, that's when they said, okay, now we got a big spill. It's a problem. That's why he was talking about his dog got sick, because it was already leaking before they figured it out. And then when that happened, people were using bottled water to bathe, to cook, everything. But after a while, they stopped doing that. After a while, they kind of went back to normal. So restaurants or whatnot, they're using that water and everything. But for a while, it was a mess. It was definitely a mess. But like I say, it could be a lot worse. You could be in California. All right, you could definitely be in California. So I'm glad you're not there. Let's keep on going here. And the phone lines are jam-packed, so y'all please gotta forgive me. 850, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to? 850, hello? Going once, going twice. All right, I'm not sure what happened with 850. Maybe I didn't answer it. I don't know what happened. Let's try again here. All right, let's do 850, hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All righty, what's going on? Turn something in the background for me, please. Just turn it off for me in the background.
Yes, sir. I got you off on the background.
All righty, what's happening?
All right, sir. So, this is a little bit off topic. I wanted to ask a question about it's basically based off the defund the police, law enforcement. I'm a fan of law enforcement, obviously. However, I'm not a fan of some of the individuals in law enforcement that maybe take advantage of. You got to think about, I've been stopped and given a speeding ticket for not having lights on my car, whatnot, whatever. However, I see plenty of law enforcement breaking the law, which we would consider, us when it comes to speeding and things. We're like, well, you know what? I don't really care about it, but it affects us, but not them. So as in just one aspect of, reforming the police, do you think that we should be talking to our local law enforcement, like sheriffs and police departments, about, well, if we're going to be held to a standard of we're not going to be able to break the law and speeding, having our car up to date and everything, should they be held to the same standard? And I know this is just a small, reform the police type deal. However, do you think that we should be able to hold our local law enforcement to the same standard we're held to by them?
What standard are you talking about?
Okay, so I've been stopped plenty of times, a brake light out, or I've been speeding 10 miles over the speed limit, 8 miles over the speed limit. Plenty of times I've been doing the speed limit, and sheriff's department, local police, just boom, fly by me. Maybe they don't use turn signals. I've seen it a bunch. But when it comes to the reform the police, I'm not about defunding and stuff, but when they're an individual looking
I'm sorry.
at,
Hold on. I'm sorry. Like you gotta ask a succinct question. Like I kind of understand the general issue, but you gotta ask a more succinct question so I can answer it.
Okay, so how should I go about addressing my local law enforcement about their shortcomings, or they making it my shortcomings are being attacked? I'm paying fines or whatever, or locals are paying fines, but they're breaking the law doing the same exact thing.
So basically,
how should I address my local law enforcement?
Okay, so long story short, you get pulled for speeding, but they're speeding too. So you're like, okay, why are you doing it, but I can't?
Correct.
But, I mean, I think at a certain point they can speed, right? Because it could be anything. They could be responding to a call. They might not always have on their siren. They might not always have on their lights, but they could be going. Anything could be going on. You really don't know, and they have to be able to do that to get to a particular place, to get from point A to point B. You know what? It could be backup. It could be whatever. So it's kind of hard to really control that, and I think that police are held to a certain standard. If they do things like they get into an accident, whatever happens that they shouldn't be doing, they get held to that standard. But I mean, speeding and stuff like that, they got to be able to do that at a certain point. They have to do that.
Yeah,
that's part of their job. It's not like a regular,
Should we still address that with our local law enforcement?
But address what though? Address the ability to speed because it's part of their job? I don't understand. Like they have to speed.
Not necessarily a part of their job. Plenty of times I've been leaving, I go home from work, I drive 45 and a 45, and behind me, these guys, and they just pull right beside me and hauling ass, excuse my language, but just booking it, you know what I mean? And,
but,
I have law enforcement that live, less than a quarter mile away from me, and I've followed them home, basically, because I live, less than a half a mile away from them, and they're just, booking it, getting off of their normal duties and everything. What I'm saying is that I'm held to a standard. Should they be held to a standard, and should I address that with my local law enforcement whenever they're not holding their own self to a standard?
I got your point. Like, I got your point. But the point I'm making is you don't really know what they're doing. You can't read the officer's mind and say, oh, well, they're not really going to an emergency. oh, they don't got to speed. You don't know that. They have the license to speed. Listen to me now. They have the license to speed because that's part of their job. You don't know what's really going on. They might be speeding just because they want to speed, but they might not be. You have no way of knowing that one way or the other. But you, as a regular person, typically do not have a reason to speed unless you do. Maybe you got pregnant wife in the car or something like that. In which case you probably have on your you probably going very fast with your emergency lights on or something. Okay, that's different. And in that case, if you get pulled, you probably won't get a ticket if you get pulled over for that. But an officer has to speed at certain times, and you don't know why they're speeding. So you can't say that they're being held to a different standard because you don't know what's going on all the time. It's unknowable. It's unknowable. So to approach them with that, it makes no sense because you gotta have some kind of basis for your approach. You're saying, hey, hold on to the same standard. How can you do that when part of their job description says they have to speed?
Okay, so I get that. I understand where you're coming from on that. But however, it's still, I'm a public servant myself, so I'm held to a high standard. At the same time, because I get audited quite a bit in my public standard, based on whether it's public records request or just the public calling in to ask me questions. When it comes to law enforcement, I see a lot of improprieties, and there's no way for me to address that with them while being, held to the same standard while they're not being held to it. No, I get it.
But hold on, caller. Listen, I got to interrupt because I got just limited time, so I got to interrupt. So I don't want to be rude, but what I'm saying is, like, if you want to, answer your overall question, if you want to address the police, you got to have something that's more tangible, because what you came to me, the example you gave to me was not very good because you can't really determine why they were speeding. So maybe there's something else you could talk about that they don't have to do as part of the job description at any point in time. You come to them with that. Let's say, for example, there's too much excessive force or something like that in the area, and you're able to kind of track that some kind of way. Maybe come to them with that. But traffic stuff, I mean, that's kind of a non-starter. So find something that's a little bit more tangible and a better example to maybe approach city council, local government with that way. Then you'll be able to get some kind of inroads. But trying to talk about road speeding and stuff, you won't get anywhere with that, in my opinion.
I agree with you on not getting anywhere with it. I just feel like, when it comes to being held to a certain standard, and then law enforcement can just say, you know what, I was doing X in the name of the county or the city. They can. I mean, you can't really get beyond that. They can do that. And that's just what it is. You have the right to do that. It's like an ambulance. It's like an ambulance or a fire truck or something like that. They can stop. Like if an ambulance comes or a fire truck comes, you got to stop, pull over. Now, if I'm just driving normally, nobody stops. Nobody just says, "Hey, here comes ABL, get out the way." No, it's regular traffic. But if an ambulance come, they got the lights on, you get out the way, you pull over. That's how it works. That's just what it is. But thank you for your call, man. Definitely appreciate you. All right. I mean, I get what he was trying to say, but nah, like if an officer is speeding, you don't really know why they're speeding. Maybe they're speeding just because they want to speed. They want to get through a red light. They want to be driving their Dodge Charger real fast. Or maybe they're going to emergency. Maybe there's somebody's baby that needs to get saved. Maybe they don't have on their lights because of it's a situation where they shouldn't have on their lights. You don't know. It's unknowable. So you can't really say, hey, they're not being held to the same standard. All right, what are your examples? Well, on this day they were speeding. Well, on that day they were going to a DV call and they didn't want to have on the lights to alert the guy because he didn't want to go in there and shoot the. You see what I'm saying? You got to think like that. That's all. But I understand his overall point, but I want to think a little bit deeper into what's really going on, what's happening. All right. Let's keep on going here. The number to call 434-658-1220. The phone lines are jam-packed. Y'all please hang tight. 678, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to?
Hey, Bill, how you doing? This is ETDL.TV. Oh, Ed Morales. Anyways, I have your next story here for Monday. Apparently just came out. I was reading on Twitter. Texas has introduced a bill, SB 1029, to effectively ban all gender-affirming care coverage for all ages. If a doctor or insurance provides gender-affirming care, they could be sued for malpractice. And guess who all of a sudden started not doing gender-affirming care in Texas? The doctors.
So wait a minute. So they're not doing it, or they are doing it in Texas?
So here's what it says. Section 74B.003. Strict liability for health coverage. A health benefit plan issuer is strictly liable to a patient for the patient's medical, mental health, and pharmaceutical costs, including costs associated with reversing a gender modification procedure or treatment, which means they're also going to have to pay for reversing that treatment, incurred for the life of the patient as a result of a gender modification procedure or treatment covered by the issuer's plan. Section 74B.004. Liability for physician or healthcare provider. A physician or healthcare provider who provides a gender modification procedure or treatment to a patient is, 1, liable to the patient for a malpractice claim in the provision of the procedure or treatment, and 2, strictly liable to the patient for the patient's medical, mental health, and pharmaceutical costs, including costs associated with reversing a gender modification procedure or treatment incurred for the life of the patient as a result of the procedure or treatment. And honestly, that's what's going to take for people to start, for these doctors and these evil governments to start saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're not going to do it anymore, because they don't win if they can't. They don't win if we win. But if we win, they lose. So they had to do this in order for the doctors to say, well, now I can get sued out of millions, which hinders my practice and what I've been doing. So now I know that if I do this, one crazy patient that decided to be, you know, a girl who was a boy, next week doesn't want to be a boy, or no more wants to go back to be a girl, now can get sued. Doctors don't want to face that. And so now they're going to be forced to not have to do that from the sheer greed of now they're going to have to lose money.
I see. So basically, to put it, like, wrap it up with a bow on it, if a person has a gender reassignment surgery, whatever that means, right? And then, let's say a year later, they say, you know what, this has damaged me. I feel like this is malpractice. I want to sue. Then they can sue. They have the ability to sue the doctor over that, and they could potentially win.
Yes, exactly. That's what Texas just passed, that bill. So
now the doctors are going to be like, well, wait a minute. I don't want to do this procedure because I'm not trying to have Zer, Zim, Zer, whatever the pronouns are, come back and sue me over it. So I just will avoid it altogether.
Exactly right. Which can also kind of, it's an example as to the police officers. How do you determine which ones are bad, which ones are good? Well, if they started taking if we could sue them personally in court, I bet you they would also take into consideration, geez, I'm not protected by the department, the precinct anymore. So now that I'm able to get sued in court personally for my actions, now I have to be more careful. And honestly, I think that's the only way that these people are going to learn, like, you know, by force, is like through what they're doing with the doctors, with these bills. Oh, you want to go ahead and do gender reaffirming care for children? Go right ahead. But then they have the right to sue you next week if they decide they don't want to be transgender anymore. The cop, oh, you want to go ahead and kill the person? Go ahead, knock yourself out. No, you go ahead and do all you want. But they don't see you in court, and then you're going to go to prison, and I'm taking all your homes and every penny you have in your bank account. And so the only way that this whole thing can go and to get dissolved is if we start placing these types of laws in order.
Yeah, now as far as the police, I don't know about that one because that's a little bit different. You're dealing with, you know, dangerous people. Like, what's going to happen with that, in my opinion, is it'd be some violent dope fiend, high on drugs, strong as the Incredible Hulk. He's fighting the police and he breaks his finger on the way down. Then he sues later for $20 million. I see that happening. I think that's a little bit kind of, because you're dealing with people in distress, in a bad situation, and the officer at a certain point anything can happen when you're fighting or whatever, and that's part of their job, to fight, to subdue, to make sure everybody else is safe. So that's a little bit different. If you're talking about something much more egregious, like killing somebody when they shouldn't be, that's when you have criminal court, not civil court. And then you got guys that go to jail, just like Walter Scott and that whole situation. The officer that shot him, you know, obviously that was a criminal situation, and then he went to jail, 25 years in the penitentiary. So that, I think, is best suited for that situation if they do a criminal action. But as far as civil, everybody would sue the cops because everybody want to, you know, crackheads out there acting crazy. That's much different than a doctor giving
what is
a
it?
13-year-old. Hold on.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
That's much different than a 13-year-old getting a gender reassignment surgery from a doctor when you have all the opportunity to not do that, to refuse to do it. It's a choice there. It's not a matter of you're dealing with a guy having a psychotic break and you got to be able to wrestle him to the ground with jujitsu and whatnot. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, well, wouldn't those just be frivolous cases and they would get thrown out in court if it was known to be like a crackhead, like you said, for example, who wants to sue the cop to ruin him out of his money? The court would be like, okay, well, your claim doesn't qualify as a frivolous lawsuit because of the fact that you are a criminal, you have a criminal history record, you are known for doing this type of stuff, so your claim gets tossed out of court. Now, will the court be packed with a lot of lawsuits? Yes, but many will be thrown out. And so the serious ones, and so what that does is it makes the officer think, damn, now I'm going to end up in court, have to waste time and money out of the job for a few days to go to court. And so they don't want to deal with that. So what does the human do? They don't want to deal with more problems. The human does not want to deal with more problems than they already have. They just want to work for the state, and they just want to obey and do what they're told. And so in order to force that human back into compliance with natural order, then they have to listen to something of order. And what's that order? You got to get them through that. Oh, damn, now I got to waste my time going to the court. Now I got to waste money. Now I got to waste gas. Now I got to wake up earlier. Now I got to do this and that. I don't want to do all that. So now I'm going to be more cautious and careful of the choices I make when I'm policing the community.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but I think that might not be the best way to go. I think that if you just, like, the criminal penalties, if that's there, then that would probably be the best deterrent because guys don't want to go to the penitentiary for doing something they shouldn't do. The lawsuit stuff is too ambiguous, and you got these weird judges out there, woke judges that hate the police that might want to let that go through and not toss it out. But thank you for your call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
Of course, ABL, and if you don't mind, can I plug in my channel real quick?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, etdl.tv. I am your host, Ed. Welcome back. And I'm on Rumble right now because YouTube gave me a strike last week. I can post again on Wednesday for talking about our dear and loving president, Joe the Puppet Biden. But ABL, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you, brother. Keep doing a good job. I'm here in the sidelines with you. We're going to bring this government down. We're going to bring this nasty, evil crap that's going down. They will learn and they will know that the truth has been prevailed and truth always wins. Amen. Thank you, ABL. Have a good night and God bless, brother.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you. All righty. Shout out to my man for the call. Most certainly appreciate him. The phone lines are blowing up. Y'all please hang tight. 209, you're on the line. Who am I speaking to? 209, hello.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello.
All right, before we start, turn someone from the background for me, please.
I got you. Here, mute. Sorry about that, bro. My name is Chad.
All righty.
All right, now what?
So what's going on? Tell me what's on your mind.
I was just going to talk to you about the Zelensky, if you ever seen the Zelensky video where he is dancing to the Beyonce song.
Yes, I have seen that. I've seen like a lot of clips from his past life, so to speak, when he was just, dancing around in tight pants and stuff like that. And then he became the president some kind of way. And now he's some kind of, some kind of war hero all of a sudden. It's very strange. The whole thing is like it's a script, like we're being part of the Truman Show right now.
Exactly, bro. Exactly. That's exactly. So I just wanted to bring that up and see if because not too many people talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have seen it. I think the whole thing is a mess. The whole Ukraine thing is ridiculous. It's a big money laundering operation, in my opinion. It's a proxy war against Russia. We're sending them billions of dollars when we should be spending that money right here in Ohio, trying to clean that big mess up that they done left. So, yeah, I think we could spend that money in a much better fashion for sure.
I absolutely agree with you, bro. That's all I was wanting to bring up because I don't hear anybody talking about it too much.
Right on, man. Well, thank you for your call. Definitely appreciate you.
All right, buddy. I love your show and have a good one.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you. All right. Shout out to the caller. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these internets. If you like what you're hearing so far, please give the video a thumbs up. Like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. All righty. Let's go ahead and go to... All righty, Les. What's happening?
Hey, ABL. How are you?
Everything's all right. How about yourself?
Good. We're doing good. I actually want to thank you so much because you finally spilled your story that you always tell, like the first of the month, you know, the EBT shoppers and how it's crazy out there.
Oh yeah.
You missed it earlier this month, and I was going to say that last week, but I was like, I was going to be like, hey, ABO, so what happened on the first of the month? What did you see out there?
a madhouse, a nut house is crazy.
I wanted to go ahead and comment on the California doctor that came out and apologized for the patient's back injuries.
Yeah.
ABL, we need a lot more doctors standing up that way. But honestly, unfortunately, the way I see it, ABL, the majority of them are paid and bought for by Big Pharma. Again, you have independent companies that obviously, you know, produce these drugs, go out to doctors' offices, and they pretty much say, hey, here's, you know, some samples, offer them to your patients. You like them that much, you can start prescribing them from that point on. So you know, and the thing is that they get, you know, kind of like referrals. I mean, referral like payments and stuff like that. I don't know how you would call it, kind of like a kickback type of a program.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of how it works.
Right. So, I mean, that's what it is with that one. And then let's not forget, we're going back to COVID times. ABL, I don't know if you heard this, but there was doctors out there in California specifically that were getting their medical licenses revoked because they were writing off too many, the vaccine exemptions. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I did hear about that.
So that's the thing, you know, we need a lot more doctors standing up, because again, you know, if they claim they're here for medicine and they're here to help, you know, the people, then let us have it that way. You know, you have to live up to your to what oath you take to providing that type of medical treatment towards the public. But I mean, again, we already know how it is. It's a huge cartel, unfortunately, here in the United States. With they're all in cahoots, the doctors, Big Pharma, unfortunately. But shout out to that doctor that came out and, you know, finally said something. I'm happy. And about the mom, the OF mom, the of mom. So I have my personal view on obviously what she's doing, but I mean, whatever floats her boat, to each their own, right? But that shouldn't just that does not give a reason for the school to suspend this child, and for the reason that they're giving, all to prevent bullying. Again, it's like you said it, ABL, perfectly fine. You stated it. Since when did we start suspending victims of bullying?
Exactly. It doesn't make it's like it should be the other way around, if anything.
Right. So I mean, hopefully that situation, you know, gets handled. Man, like a lot of these women need to make a little bit more better choices in their lifestyle, because I'm going to be honest with you, ABL. This is the biggest reason why the culture is the way it is with women. And to me, you know, women want to talk about, oh yeah, it's like this whole feminist movement, and yeah, you know, woman power and Me Too and all this stuff. But then yet again, the type of thing you're doing, you know, as your side hustle or your main job, whatever it might be, you're a slave to the system. You're a slave to the current culture that currently is being pushed out to a lot of us women. And it's sad, but hopefully God finds her. She finds her way to God. And the last thing, ABL, is the whole Fetterman. Come on, ABL. You know, ABL, we all know that if the Democrats really cared for their own, they would have said, you know what, boss? You served, you did good, you're having some health issues, we understand. Don't worry, we'll get someone else in to cover your, to take over your place. That's fine. Just take a break. But this goes to further prove just how much the Democrats like to double down on that stronghold Democrat area. They don't want to let the power go.
No, not at all. I mean, they don't care who they have to hurt in the process. They don't really care about that. All they care about is that power.
Right. And I think that's about it, ABL. It's a wonderful show. I loved it. We didn't have Ivan yet, so I guess till next time, so we can all laugh. But anyways, I want to let you know, God bless you, ABL. You're doing a wonderful, wonderful job. Thank you for all that you enlighten us with, and may God always give you the strength to keep on going. And you know, like I said, don't ever think anything the opposite of where you have that head on your shoulder, because it's right where it's supposed to be. God is always with you. And I want to wish you a wonderful night. To the chat, God bless everybody in the chat. And the little patrons want to say good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night, y'all. Thank y'all.
All right, ABL, you take care. Bye-bye.
All righty. Great call. And the phone lines are blowing up. I'm going to try to get a couple more before I got to wrap it on up. All righty. Skype caller, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All righty. What's happening? Who am I speaking to?
It's Rebel Without a Reason.
All righty, man. What's going on?
Nothing much, man. I wanted to give you this story right quick. I just tagged you with it on Twitter.
All righty.
It's about the Admiral Levine. It says a public record show Rachel Levine was discussing potential revenue and return on investment associated with having a gender clinic social worker. These emails from 12/2018 are between Levine and Roland M. Orstein, MD. Roland was affiliated with Penn State Hershey's Children's Hospital.
Well, we see what it's about. It's not really about trying to, quote unquote, help children. It's about making money, another revenue stream.
Yes, sir. And I saw actual video of the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital when they were pushing it to their new recruits, so to speak, saying, hey, this is a good revenue stream. Y'all need to jump on this. But this email says, hi, Rachel, as I'm trying to convince the administration about the need for a new MSW position specific for the imminent gender clinic, I'm trying to put together a presentation, RE potential revenue, including downstream. So I sent you that on Twitter. I tagged you on that. So check that out, man. It's a whole thread on that deal. It's more than just that one email.
Yeah, it sounds pretty crazy for sure.
That's all I wanted, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for your call, man. Definitely appreciate you.
Yes, sir. We'll holler at you later.
All right. Great call. Yeah, that whole thing is a mess. All right. Let me try. Y'all give me a second here, please. 773 on the line. What's speaking to?
ABL, thanks for getting to me. It's your retired Chicago police officer friend. How you doing?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I'm good, ABL, and I'm going to keep this short because it's been 12 minutes since I last ate, so I need to eat some high nitrate chemical hot dogs. So, you know, I need to address that whole thing with being able to individually sue the police and everything else. That's called qualified immunity. And what that is that the police are held by the standard of what other police may have done, okay, if it's reasonable. And you have to understand, and I know you do, ABL, that we're dealing with criminals, a lot of criminals. Now, yes, in your little rural towns, small towns, nobody likes the police. They stop you and give you a ticket for this and a ticket for that. In a big city, I haven't given a ticket in my last 16 years as a policeman. I never gave a ticket. Why? Because we're too busy. We're too busy with murders and shootings and everything else and rapes and all this. We don't have time just to sit by the side of the road and give somebody a ticket. You know, there is a traffic car for that. It looks like a regular squad car, but his job is to do traffic. So if you get stopped by the traffic guy, you're going to get a traffic ticket. Why? Because he has to show that he did something out there. People say, well, they have quotas. Well, it's not exactly a quota. It's that you went out for 8 hours on the street and you came back. What did you do? Did you just sit in your squad car and read the newspaper? They know that there's violators out there. So you need to come in with some kind of activity to show that you were out there doing something. But go ahead and make it that you're going to take away qualified immunity from the police. to think that's going to, you know, take the bad police, the small percentage of bad police, and it's somehow going to make everything better. It's not. What it's going to do is you just neutered the police. You don't even have to defund the police. You neutered the police, because now, just when I'm doing my job, you know, I'm liable personally to hire. You know how many lawyers I would have had to hire every time there was an accusation against me? Why is that? Because I'm arresting real criminals, people that are shooting people with illegal guns. These are felons. These are you know, people that were incarcerated that are out there selling drugs and killing other drug dealers. So they know, you know, when they get caught, sue the police, make up a story, say anything you want. And then what happens is it is taken care of. But the thing is, I'm defended by the lawyers of the city of Chicago. That's who defends me, okay, to see if I did anything improper. And if you did do something improper, then you will be sued personally. That's the way it works. If I'm out there taking bribes, you know, robbing drug dealers and everything else, believe me, that's going to come to the surface. And I will be personally liable for it, and I will probably go to prison for it. But for everybody that makes an accusation, for me to have to hire my own lawyer, you know what you just did? You just made me do nothing. Now I'm not going to do anything. You were right on the money, by the way, ABL. You know, I was thinking this, and then you said it out loud about defending the police. You were defending the police, saying you don't know why they're speeding. Here's what people don't understand. People don't understand. We get a call of a burglary at a factory. Well, I'm not going to put my lights and siren on so I can warn the guy to leave, so that now I can't arrest him and catch him, so that now he's a criminal that's out there to do it night after night after night, business after business after business, until he's finally caught. No, we go out there kind of a stealth mode. I don't want them knowing we're coming. We're not announcing that we're coming. Now, as I'm driving fast, this is not LA. The city of Chicago is not Los Angeles. We don't have these big open spaces where we could chase a guy. There is a stoplight, a stop sign and stoplight with people and other cars. So I cautiously but quickly go to that call. But I don't put my siren on. I might honk my horn, you know, hit the siren for a second when I'm at an intersection if somebody's not watching. But we're not the fire department. We're not an ambulance. We don't put the siren on and everybody just nicely pulls over. We're doing something different than that. It's a different kind of work. So you could bring that up, like the one guy, respectfully, the one caller, you could bring that up with your city council and everything else. They should be held to the same standard. They tried that in Chicago, saying, you know, that we don't want the police parking at fire hydrants and everything else. Well, here's the thing. If you're being robbed in your house, or somebody's kidnapping your kid, or your wife, you know, your husband and your wife, and he's beating the hell out of you, I'm supposed to drive around like a normie to look for a parking spot that I could parallel park in, or am I going to block the street to get to you, to help you? So we, you know, we are held to a higher standard, and rightfully so. You know, the thing also about the police is that, you know, in your personal life, ABL, people can call you a name. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but they're not going to be arrested for calling you a name. But if I respond to you as the police and I'm unprofessional, I can't give my personal opinion. I don't like, you know, I'm not going to give you police service because you're a lesbian. I'm not going to give you police service because you're black. I don't like blacks. I'm not going to give you police service because you're Asian and I don't care for Asians. We can't do that. But the normies can. Anybody can say what they want. It's not against the law to call you names. So it's a different standard. So we're not held to the same standard as the general public when we're working. So we need to get a handle on our country and on crime. You know, if we listen to all these woke people, believe me, it will be chaos. And then it's too late when those woke people start crying, oh, somebody robbed me, or somebody just shot my brother, or why can't you do anything? See, they want everybody to be woke, but that's not the real world. The real world is what's out there that you see on the news a lot of times, that, one country is decimating another country by violence. Our history as human beings is violence. And you have to try to fight that and stop that. And sometimes the only way to stop that is to be armed and and commit violence against other people to stop them. Otherwise, what happens? They would love nothing more. Dictators love nothing more than to take all the weapons away from the public, because you can stop a nation with a gun, but you could stop that gun with other legal guns. With people that are armed, that are not out there robbing and shooting, they're defending themselves. Otherwise, you know what? Just load the whole country up onto a freight car train and right into a concentration camp and walk them into the showers and say, well, we're just delousing you, and then you kill them all. No, people have to have a right to defend themselves against tyranny, against the tyranny that people want to commit against them. If you let them, people will just rape and pillage. There are those personalities in this country and in this world that don't care. They have no empathy for you. So that's my 2 cents there, ABL. Oh, my hot dogs are boiling. I better get going. I got some nitrate sticks to be putting down my gullet. So that's a joke. But thanks, ABL, and thanks to everybody in the chat.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right. That was a fantastic call and a great way to end the show. I'm a little bit over time here. Thank you for being here. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these internets. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat, all the mods, everybody that's been just watching, sharing, super chatting, retweeting, whatever you're doing. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. I'll be back live again on Wednesday, of course, and I'm here all throughout the week doing my pre-recorded videos as usual. And again, thank y'all for joining. Couldn't do the show without you. You guys are the best audience anywhere on these internets. I have some super chats to read right quick. Then I'll wrap it on up, put the bowl clean on top. Oh, also, if you're watching or listening to this on your favorite audio streaming platform, whether they be Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Anchor, Apple, iTunes, etc., please give me a 5-star rating, give me a review. Do whatever you can on that platform. I most certainly appreciate it. I'll be forever indebted, not legally, but just spiritually. How about that? But we got some super chats we're going to read right quick. Thank you to Butt versus Windshield, who says, what's worse, 1, China spy balloon, or 2, Biden shooting down our own balloons at $600,000 a pop, or 3, 100 million Chinese spy phones with TikTok? Man, I can't even really call it, man. Probably the spy phones, because there's so many of them everywhere. Butt versus Windshield also says, I used to work at a chemical plant. I would work on the chemical scrubbers. We would burn some waste, but the chemist had to sign off on it and had a lot of paperwork to fill out. Caller is right. Thank you to Kev Bar, who says the chemical leak was in the Elk River near where the Elk empties into the Canal River. Okay, I do remember that. I remember it was up north. I think it was north of the river, and then it went down into the canal, and then that's when, yeah. Thank you to Zedis King Sword, who says, you gifted 5 ABL memberships. Appreciate you for that. Thank you to Butt versus Windshield, who says, sounds like that new Texas opens up doctors, or new Texas law opens up doctors, teachers, and anyone who talks a kid into trans surgery. Yes, exactly. So that's going to protect children, essentially. And thank you to Suzanne Johnson for becoming an ABL supporter. I appreciate you. But that'll be a wrap for me. Thank y'all for being here yet again. But until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out, and peace.